All right, there we are, John. Play that guitar. Welcome on in. All in from the Mt Airy Casino and Resort. Great to be once again alongside Phillies Fun and Games man, John Brazer.
Hold on. Fun and Games man.
Yes,
Phillies.
Yes.
I'm not with the Phillies anymore, so I'm Fun and Games man.
All right, just straight Fun and Games.
Yes.
It's John Brazer with us. Always a pleasure and always great to be here up in the Poconos. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. I heard you guys might be hitting the golf course tomorrow or something, right?
It's not, it might be. We are. So for several years, a handful of years, we come up here and we come on the radio show and we do this great show for a couple hours. And I always lament as I'm driving in, I see the beautiful golf course with the water. It looks hard. It looks very narrow. I can see a lot of, I hope I brought enough golf balls. But I always say, Lee, we got to play golf sometime. Lee, to our man, Lee Alexander. And he came through this year. So we are playing tomorrow morning. We got a good crew, myself, Lee. We got Ben from BCWSA. Did I say that right? I don't have it written down here. BCWSA.
Yes.
Yeah.
BCWSA Utility Services.
Utility Services,
yes,
right?
Indeed. And Ben Jones will be with us
Ben
later
Jones
on.
Will
in the
be
show.
with us. Yeah.
He's also, that sounds like the same crew that's going to be joining us to dine
Cosmos
later tonight.
And then we're going to have who's going to be our special guest. We got a couple guests today, but our guests today from 4 to 5. Very excited to have Joe Watson. Now, I can't wait to talk to Joe. I've had Joe a bunch of times on the Baseball Insider Show. I've had him on my podcast. The last 2 years, not this year, but 2 years before that, we celebrated his birthday at our house in Avalon.
Well, I'm going to buckle up. I'm putting my seatbelt on because Joe Watson brings the energy.
Oh, yes, he does.
And looking forward to, talking a little Flyers hockey with Joe. And you don't often get to interact with a 2-time Stanley Cup champion and a Broad Street bully. That's
also the guy, he scored a shorthanded goal in 1976 against the Russians, against the Red Army, and he set back communism, as Fred Shearer said, by decades, right, by scoring. And Tretiak, might have how would you like to give up a shorthanded goal to Joe Watson, right, if you're on the greatest team in the world, and then the Flyers beat him?
It's time to defect.
Right.
It might be time to defect.
And I've actually played with Joe Watson. We'll talk about that. But I've played with a handful of times with the Flyers alumni. And Joe's the reason why I played with him.
You played golf?
I played ice hockey with the Flyers alumni. We'll get into it. He loves to tell a story, which is I'll let him tell the story. But I played probably about 4 times with the alumni. And I was the only non-NHL guy on the team because what they do is it's a charity event where they'll play men's leagues from around the Delaware Valley, and the men's league will pay to play against the Flyers alumni. Money all goes towards charities, Flyers charities, and then afterwards it's fun. The Flyers guys will sign autographs and again raise money, have a lot of fun. Usually they have Lou Nolan come out to do the PA announcing. They get their fans and again everyone's probably like who's number, whatever number they give me. And I remember the first time I played, I'm really intimidated. And I go into the pro shop beforehand and I get tape, right? I'm in the locker room and I'm minding my own business. It's one of those things, when you're a rookie, you're told to be seen, not heard.
Yes.
Right. So, all these guys, that I watched playing, I'm there taping up my skates, taping up my shin pads. And all of a sudden, Bob Daly, remember the Count, Bob Daly?
Oh, yeah.
Bob Daly goes, Brazer. I said, yes, Bob.
He's a big guy.
Yes. And the whole team's looking at me. He says, what are you doing? And I'm trying to think of what am I doing that's wrong? And all I'm doing is taping the my shin pads, socks, whatever. And I go, tape it up, shin pads. He's like, where'd you get that tape? I was like, pro shop. And he's like, that guy right there is our equipment manager. He's got 1,000 rolls of tape. Why are you buying tape in the pro shop? I said, well, Bob, because I've never played pro hockey. I've never had equipment manager. I've always had to pay for my tape.
Welcome to the big time, son. Yeah.
Right. So.
Equipment manager and everything. Well, I inadvertently popped this up, and I know we're going to talk a little Flyers hockey, maybe with Joe when he gets here at 4:00. But some big news for them as they did sign Zegras,
Mm-hmm.
4-year deal, $9.125 million average per year.
Well, yeah, you could say that Zegras was kind of the first domino that kind of fell, that kind of allowed the Flyers to kind of go on the run. They were kind of in neutral a little bit before last season, and then we struck a trade with Anaheim, and we get Zegras, who was a ballyhooed prospect, and he was a good player, but he hadn't quite matched what his capabilities, I guess, or the expectations. And the Flyers got him in a trade. Again, he is an exciting player to watch. He's got skill. He's fast. He puts the defensemen on their heels. I think he just kind of gave that energy, which I think the Flyers needed, along with other guys. Now, I think in a great signing, by the way. And they also had Drysdale, who also came in from Anaheim. Because we got him for Cutter Gauthier, Drysdale, a lot of people were putting too much pressure because Gauthier had a really good season with Anaheim, but Drysdale started really coming on.
Yeah, here's Drysdale.
Towards the end. So,
last year on WBCB and throughout the Federi News Network, we went from our on ice Flyers show into the Snow the Goalie era.
Right.
And a big topic of discussion on Snow the Goalie were the assets that the Flyers have, making sure that the contracts that they engage in seem like they're reasonable numbers. And it seems like getting Zegras for under that $10 million mark per year is probably a decent deal. It's a good value you're getting. And to have Drysdale come back, avoid arbitration, it seems like both those go into the category of well done, Briere and the Flyers management guys, because now we're on the cusp of being competitive, and every move now demands even more scrutiny. Yeah,
you've got to, I think in hockey, especially with the salary cap, you have to kind of build from within and then be ready to pounce, right? And you got to hope that the guys that they draft, they develop, get to a certain level, so then you can fill in with the superstars with the money. So then you have, what you're getting with the young players set that you've again developed, and then you can bring in guys to. And the Flyers are super close to being. I mean, they're almost there right now. They are. Everyone knows they need a center, they need a top center, and then they need the power play on the quarterback of the power play. So right now they might not have that, but they're certainly in position, because they took that run at Leo Carlson, who's 21 years old, would have been the highest paid player, $18 million a year. It was an aggressive move, but I think it also showed to the league that, look, the Flyers are serious players, and this is a destination, and we're going to be serious, and watch out. And there's some people that thought Leo Carlson, that Anaheim wasn't going to be able to match it. It was kind of, at one point, it seemed like 50-50 whether they were going to do it, but they put a lot of pressure on Anaheim now, because they've got to, they got to have to sign Gauthier at some point. And $18 million, he's the highest. So Leo Carlson, 21 years old, he's not the best player in the league, but he's paid like he is. But again, it puts teams on notice that the Flyers are ready. And look, if Mishkov can get off to can really have a takeoff year, and then they can maybe add, some pieces, they're ready.
Yeah, and talking about a first line center, but it felt like last year the Flyers landed on a top goalie. And that's another element that you want to build around, and we feel good about that. By the way, Anthony Sanfilippo, hoping he will join us a little bit later on here on All In, maybe to talk a little Phillies, but also perhaps to talk some Flyers hockey, as he is one of the co-hosts of our Snow the Goalie show on the Federi News Network and here at WBCB Sports. So hopefully he'll be able to give his perspective on whether he thinks those numbers, those contracts are going to.
Well, I think it was very important. Vladar,
be good in the long run.
We also had, the Flyers have just had tough luck or also bad decisions with the goaltending since way back when.
Well, that Carter Hart thing, what a mess that is.
Well, the Carter Hart, and then
how can you as a Flyers management, you can't make there's no right choice to make. They
they were stuck, completely stuck, and and he's a free agent. He signed with Vegas, and then look, he gets him to the finals. But just again, terrible. Who'd have the Flyers couldn't have foreseen that. They thought they had the goalie of the future. Flyers had the goalie of the future way back when with Bob.
Right.
And then we traded Bob and thought that Brizgalov would be the answer. And obviously Brizgalov's wasn't. I mean, you look at Pelle Lindbergh, obviously he would have been our goalie for a long, long time. And then obviously he dies in a car crash. It's that goalie position's been tough to kind of, again, both on some of the faults of the Flyers. Again, like how do you let Bob get away? But maybe we didn't realize that Sergei Bobrovsky was going to be that good.
Yeah, I think he played his best hockey after he left the Flyers.
After he left, yeah.
Hard to know that's going to happen.
And we've drafted, I know like 3 or 4 years ago, we drafted 2 goalies pretty high up. This year we drafted 2 goalies, I think both from the Czech Republic. But yeah, signing Vladar with a 5-year deal is good. I mean, Vladar was a backup goalie, right? Calgary, and then he found it. So hopefully that wasn't a 1-year blip. I don't think it was, but we'll see. But at least it gives you that stability back there, and then allows it takes a long time to develop goalies. It really does. It's not, you're drafting these kids that are 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, 19 years old. And usually goalies kind of come into their own 24, 25, 26. So it's, you got to have patience. And maybe this will give us time to, again, really develop some of these young guys down there.
Well, it won't be long until we're back to Flyers hockey, back to Snow the goalie on WBCB. But right now, in the midst of the Phillies season, WBCB, your spot on the radio dial for Phillies baseball at 1490 AM and 107.3 FM. Tough series against the Dodgers, and not a great start as they're back from the All-Star game. But hopefully we'll be able to talk with Anthony a little bit about what's going on with the Phillies, especially as they near a trade deadline. And are they going to go all in? There's a lot a lot of prospects, a lot of potential moves that the Phillies may make. I know some people are in the camp that they need a bench bat and a reliever maybe. And there's another group out there that wants them to pick up a starter. Oh, here's the get a starter is one of the.
Well, they need, you just said it right there. They need three things, whatever their priority is. I think the big thing is right-handed bat, because right now the right-handed batters on the Phillies have the lowest OPS for right-handed batters of anyone in the league. So, we're not getting the production from the guys. We're getting production from, Marsh for most of the year, although he's tailing off a little bit, Schwarber and Harper. But really the right-handed bats had the ones that have been slacking, I guess. So right-handed bat would be tremendous. Taylor Ward for the Orioles, Joe Adell, someone like that. Buxton's probably off the market. Now the problem too is that because there's 3 wild card teams, that there's not a lot of there's too many buyers and not a lot of sellers.
I think amongst the all the teams in baseball, there's 23 teams that still have a good chance
right.
Would be maybe 5 games away. I think that might have been the number that I heard, 5 games away from a potential wild card berth, or they're already in a playoff spot. So only 7 teams across the league that feel like they're out of it. So it does really.
And teams feel like they need, and every team needs to add and do whatever. But you're right. You look at, Toronto's 13.5 games back, 10 games under 500. You got Kansas City, 17 games under 500. Detroit was out of it, but they're kind of playing themselves back in. 6.5. They can't give up with Skubal. Unless if they trade Skubal, then I guess it is. They are waving the white flag. You got the Angels again with Joe Adell, some other guys. I know Detweiler will be one of the guys talked about starting pitcher. They're 10.5 games back. They are 21 games under 500. And then you look at the Mets, who are 17 games under 500. They'll be sellers. They've got a lot of bullpen guys that you could get with probably just picking up salary and giving low to mid prospects. The Reds, they're 7 games under 500, 16.5 games out.
It sounds like they're in the market to be sellers, though. I mean,
they probably want to be sellers, but also they could be buyers as long as it's, long-term guys to next year, because they have a good young nucleus. Then the Giants in Colorado in the West certainly will be sellers. Ramos, Hunter Goodman is a catcher, and I could see Goodman, Yankees doing like a blockbuster, with Goodman or some team that really needs a catcher. So you're right. There's not a lot of teams that are out there, but again, the right-handed bat, I think with, the problems that they're getting with, Nola, the fifth starter, Ron Hell, and now Painter down there, although Painter had a pretty good outing of late, but it's,
a lefty reliever too is
lefty relievers, definitely. The relievers, I think when Keller went down for the season, and the way, some of our guys, Kirkering struggled last night, Alvarado struggled. You've got a lot and then you're relying on guys that don't have a track record like Bolin or Mazer or some other guys. Right now, if the playoffs started right now, who are you relying on besides Duran in the bullpen? Let's say you got a 2-1 game against the Dodgers, right? Like we recently have had, and it's 8th inning. Who are you relying on?
I don't know.
I guess Kirkering's got to be your guy, or if it's a lefty, again.
I just hate to trust the bullpen, and I want my starters. It's kind of like an old school mentality, but that's baseball today.
We need a fifth starter. We need we need 1 or 2 bullpen guys. I think the bullpen guys is probably the easiest to fix.
The easiest to change, upgrade without totally
sacrificing
changing the structure and the future,
right?
And the main prospects you're trying to build around. So I do see that as like the one area where you can make some tweaks, and not totally give up other elements. Like you're talking about a starter. Who are they going to trade for that? They would have to potentially give up something in order to get something, and that whole mix, how that plays out. That a reliever, it feels like you can work along the margins a little bit more,
right? Or just just absorb salary, or just give again like a minor absorb salary and give a low to mid tier prospect,
which I like, because still as a Phillies fan, as an eternal optimist, I see a lot of good on this team, a lot of players up and down this lineup where if they can turn it on, we can be competitive against anybody in the league.
It's so tantalizing. If you're Dombrowski and you've got Wheeler and Sanchez and Luzardo in a 3-game series, in a 5-game series, 7-game series, you got those 3 horses. You can you could put those 3 up with any top 3 starters in Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
but it's again, I always say you're top heavy. We're too top heavy. So yes, but then we have nothing below that. You're hoping Nola can find it, but so far he hasn't. You're hoping Painter can come back and be that ballyhooed, prospect that we're all waiting for. We don't have much, Seth Johnson hasn't done anything. Ron Hell really hasn't done anything. I'm not sure what we have down there. Gage Wood, do you want to rush him up there? Who knows? Because I know they're having him as a starter. As you said, if you try to get a Detmers or you try to get a starter, you're going to have to give up part of your future. You're going to have to maybe give up a Renteria, who is like our top international prospect that we got, not too long ago.
I'm just feeling disappointed right now, John, in how they came back out of the All-Star break. It feels like they are going through the motions and kind of sleepwalking. You point to the issues in the field, some defensive things that have happened, the base running problems, and the big miscue, like a total head scratcher with JT the other day where he's on third base, decides to go back to second, admitted that, it was just a mistake. I didn't know what was
Crawford
going on.
Probably shouldn't have run on contact. You run on contact there if they're calling that, but not if it's going to the third baseman who's creeping in.
Either way, he's stuck because the third baseman then can go to the bag.
Right.
He doesn't have it might have been the best to try to dive back to third, but I mean, that's such a, I don't know.
Well, the defense has been terrible. In fact,
that's a tough decision to make in such a short period of time. So I give Crawford the benefit of the doubt.
Right. No, obviously JT, admitted that it was on his part, and then just even Stott last night
going to third.
Yeah. There's just a lot of unforced errors. And then on the defensive side, according to Sabre Defensive Index, the Phillies starters are dead last in the National League at shortstop, second base, third base, and center field. So Turner, Stott, Bohm, and Crawford, only 8 players in the entire National League have a negative 4.9 or worse Sabre Defensive Index stat. And 4 of them, again, only 8 players in the entire National League are at negative 4.9 or worse, and half of them are the Phillies. Trey Turner, Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm, Justin Crawford. So when you're not getting defense, which is, they always say up the middle is important defense, right?
Yeah.
Well, when your second baseman, your shortstop, and your center field have terrible defensive metrics, along with your third baseman, that's not good. When your base running is not good, right? We have fast guys. Obviously, Turner's fast, Crawford's fast, JT's fast for a catcher, but you got to be fast and you have to be smart. And we're just making too many blunders. And with the bullpen the way we have it, and with the 4th and 5th starters, you can't afford to make errors in the field. You can't afford to make errors on the base pass. That just you don't have room. And if we had more of a balanced pitching staff, we had a more of a balanced offense, then you can. But you can't.
As a fan, I want Don Mattingly to go into the clubhouse and kick over water bottles and flip tables and stuff like that, while also recognizing that is not going to work with the modern day player. I mean, that might not have worked with the old player, really. I mean, that's just somebody venting and getting angry about stuff. But what buttons do you press, or what do you do as a Major League Baseball manager in order to get your players to focus and not be that disciplinary guy that's going to lose the clubhouse?
Yeah.
I'm almost worried, like when he took Wheeler out of that game and got a little bit of backlash and seemed like everything was kind of fixed after he took him out. But I don't know, it almost feels like he has lost grip of the clubhouse momentarily. He needs to grab back on. And when I hear him, I just hear somebody who seems like they're a little like he didn't really want the job in the first place, and now going through a little bit of struggles. I just hope he can find it, because there's something with this team.
Yeah.
And
sometimes you go through this period in baseball.
You can't keep changing managers.
It's a long season. Sometimes you go through this period where the manager or the players can't get it right. And right now with his, it's tough because he took Wheeler out maybe you could say too early.
Right.
Maybe he kept Nolan too long last a couple of times. You know what I mean? And some of the decisions it's just sometimes you just can't get the decision right. Sometimes you bring in the perfect bullpen pieces in a game and it works out. Sometimes it's just disaster. And I think also the players, a lot of it's cyclical. So, if in Turner, it's probably in his head. All of a sudden, he makes those in that one game. He basically had, I think they gave him 2 errors, but he could have really had 4, I guess, right? I think sometimes it just gets mental. And then you get on the base pass. Everyone starts pressing. When they're not hitting, they're pressing. They're all trying to hit 5-run home runs. When you're on the base pass, you're trying to take that extra base, or you're trying to just get an aggressive thing to make things happen. But sometimes it's best just to but you do those things when you're forcing things, when you're panicking, when you're, you know what I mean? And so it just
puts everybody in panic mode.
Puts everyone in panic mode.
And you need everybody to be chill. I mean, baseball is a game where you have to be kind of on an even keel.
Yeah, it's consistent. And the Red Sox, they won 15 games in a row. And their offense was very good, but they weren't they weren't in fuego, but they were very good. And their pitching, same thing. They were playing well-rounded baseball for 15 straight games. And they won, and they blew out some teams, and but it just, you need that consistency. We are not getting the consistency. That's the problem with this team, is that, we were reliant too much on the home run. That I think at one point the stat was, 46% of our runs scored were created by a home run. And I just think that was pretty high in Major League Baseball.
Right.
And I think you need to have more of well-rounded. We've talked about this for years with this team. We've got to just play more fundamental baseball. And we did when Mattingly first came on. We were bunting, we were hitting runs, we were doing things, going gap to gap. And it seems that we've just kind of, sometimes we fall back on this. We need that 5-run home run to get us back.
Well, opportunity today for the Phillies with an off day to kind of reset. And when you were with the Phillies, what were some of the things that guys kind of tended to do? I mean, I'm thinking it's a lot of spending time with your family. I don't know. Do guys go down to the beach and
after the All-Star break,
hit the shore, or no? On like a day like today, you got a Thursday. It's an off day. You're at home.
Yeah.
And an opportunity to reset, regroup. Do guys kind of just?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
usually
you give guys get them off their feet and give them a day off, especially, they just had an All-Star break. So,
yeah. So I don't know what they're doing. Hopefully they'll be able to get right.
But with the way we've been playing, again, I'm not close to it right now. I don't, they could have brought him in to do infield or do some, work, but, sometimes you also just need to tell them, get away.
Yeah.
Let's just get your mind off the game. Most of our guys are married. So my guess is most of the guys went back to their home and kind of just chilled with their family.
Yeah. This might be one of those days where getting a little bit of extra work in, I know that was,
some guys feel like they needed to, even if Don Magley didn't call for extra work.
Yeah.
Some guys want to go to the ballpark, just keep that routine. So I think it's different for everybody. Sometimes, again, I think the majority probably, assuming there was nothing scheduled at the ballpark, majority probably said, you know what, I'm going to go hang with the family and I'm going to just reset. And hopefully that works.
Maybe they're up here at the Mt Airy Casino and Resort playing some golf out there. It's a beautiful, beautiful
I saw some people by the pool out there. Yeah, I didn't see anybody at the.
Did you see my wife over there?
Is she here?
Yeah. I think
was she by the pool?
I think so.
Okay.
Perhaps.
She wasn't playing slots or anything?
She was planning on it. Yes.
All right.
Maybe go to the spa. That's another great spot here. They got the spa. You ever do the like the sauna and the cold plunge?
No, but I know a lot of people have done it.
I love that.
We got to incorporate the spa. How about the spa for?
It's quite invigorating.
How about the spa for hosts? I could use a back rub, right?
Yes.
A little massage. Chris, are you looking for the ultimate night out? The stage is heating up at Mt Airy Casino Resort, and you do not want to miss what's coming next on Saturday, August 8th. Sing along to the iconic hits, costumes, and piano magic of Lee Alverson's Elton John tribute. Then on Saturday, September 12th, feel the power of classic rock with For Peace of Mind, delivering the ultimate tribute to Foreigner. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, good stuff. All in here on WBCB, the Fideri News Network, and you don't want to miss what's next. Let's talk a little Eagles.
Right.
Interesting to see where Jalen Hurts was ranked by NFL players and experts, and we got a bunch of different Jalen rankings to talk about and get into, and just interested to see what you think he's going to have. It's kind of a make or break year in a certain regard for Jalen Hurts.
Well, he's up for an extension, so this is a big year.
Make or break year when it comes to that paycheck. All right. All In continues here on the Fideri News Network and WBCB in just a moment.
Penn Community Bank, we're your financial partner for all of life's moments. Our checking accounts are designed with you in mind, providing convenient access and 5-star mobile and online banking services to help you achieve your goals. Right now, you can earn a $350 cash bonus for opening a qualifying new checking account with direct deposits in the first 60 days. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/cash bonus to learn more. Penn Community Bank, here we grow. Offer terms and conditions apply. Limited time offers subject to change. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. As the weather warms up, BCWSA Utility Services reminds you to be mindful of water use. Water lawns early in the morning or later in the evening to reduce evaporation. Fix leaky outdoor faucets and use a broom instead of a hose to clean driveways and sidewalks. A few simple changes can help conserve water all season. Visit bcwsa.net for more seasonal water-saving tips. BCWSA Utility Services. This is
Let's get ready to rumble!
It's time for All In is an exclusive presentation of 1490 WBCB, your home on the radio dial in Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer counties. We now go live to All In. Here are your hosts, the pastor of the poker face.
All right, we are back all in here on WBCB as we mess around, try to get Anthony Sanfilippo here in the mix as talking.
Are you the pastor of the poker face?
I think that's you.
That's me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do I have a poker face?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's Anthony. Maybe Anthony's the pastor.
Anthony.
Is that better? Did I make it better for you guys so that you're both on screen? There you go.
I think so.
Anthony, do you have a golf tan today?
Yeah, a little bit. It was nice, dude. It was a beautiful day out on the course today.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. How did the guys do?
It went very well. It went very well. We recorded an episode of On Par today with the Phillies broadcasters. So that was fun. And we were out at Tarsdale, Union League Tarsdale. And it's great. It was a great day. Really nice course. It was fun. It was a good time. Everybody enjoyed themselves.
You know, we were talking a little trade deadline stuff, Anthony. Any insights on what the Phillies might do? Any are they targeting a starter, a bullpen, a bench bat?
Well, all three. But what is the most important, I think, Chris, is the biggest question, right? And I think if you ask 100 people, you'll get 3 different answers, about 33 each, right? Or 30, maybe one of them has 34. I don't know. I think that they're going to look to go after a starter more than anything else. I've been saying this for a little bit now. While their biggest need might be the bullpen, you can, in essence, create a better bullpen by adding a starter. And how do you do that? Because if you go out, I'm just going to say, just for fun, I'm not saying that this is a definite thing or anything like that, but just for fun, let's say the Phillies were able to put a package together to get Tarek Skubal from the Detroit Tigers, right? A pitcher of that ilk. All of a sudden now you take that guy and you put him in your rotation and he's there with Sanchez and Wheeler. Your number 4 starter then becomes Luzardo. Well, you don't need a number 4 starter that regularly, right? So in the postseason. So yes, he might have to make an odd start here or there. But for the most part, you could use Luzardo like they used Ranger Suarez in previous years in the playoffs as a guy who both starts and relieves. You've just improved your bullpen by adding a left-handed reliever who's already on your team. And I think that is a way to maybe try and kill two birds with one stone without having to, trade for multiple pieces. That's not to say they won't get a bullpen arm too, because I think that they will, but I think you can improve your bullpen internally by trading for a starting pitcher.
Are there elements of this team that they'd have to give up in order to make that happen?
Well, if you're talking about a guy like Skubal, it's going to have to start with
Andrew
Painter, I think. And really that's what it becomes. Are you willing, because Skubal's a free agent at the end of the year. So are you willing to give up on 5 years of the development of Andrew Painter, because that's really what it is. He's under team control all that time, for
half a year,
not even 15 starts, right, from Tarek Skubal, because he's a free agent. He is a free agent at the end of the year. That's a tough ask. That's a lot to give up. But I mean, if you're going to outbid other teams for the services of a player of that caliber, that's the conversation that we're having. You are not getting it for less.
Yeah, and other teams are, again, there's so many suitors right now with a lot of teams that are buyers. There's only like, how many teams? We were just talking, there's probably like 5-6 sellers for sure right now. And Detroit they're only 6.5 games back. Detroit could say, you know what, we're going to try to win it with Mize and what they have. So it's not even sure that they're going to trade Skubal. So.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that are like that too, John. When you look at it, like, we all thought 3 weeks ago or 2.5 weeks ago that the Boston Red Sox were going to trade a bunch of players, right? Well, now the Boston Red Sox have gone out and won 15 straight games, tying a franchise record, and all of a sudden they're back in the playoff race. Yeah. They were 11 games under 500. Like there was a no doubt about it. They were going to sell, and now maybe not. It's pretty wild what's happened there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what other big name starting pitchers might become available. It really kind of depends on who falls backwards in the race over the course of the next 2 weeks.
Could you see what do you think the Phillies' plans for Gage Wood would be? No pun intended. Would be. I said would twice.
Yeah, that's funny. That's good. So it's another interesting one, because Gage Wood could be an interesting enough piece to get you a good player, like as the key asset that would go out to another team. If for some reason you don't trade Gage Wood and he stays within your organization, you could conceivably turn him into a bullpen arm this year if he continues to pitch the way he's been pitching in the minors, and maybe kind of do like you did with Kerkering in 23, where he gets called up like in late September. He gets, a cup of coffee as far as, 3 or 4, outings. And then all of a sudden he's on your playoff roster. And that's another arm that you have at your disposal. So, I mean, that's another path that they can take, but he could also be the key piece of a trade, right? So it'll be interesting to see.
All right, so just a blip or any concerns at how the Phillies have come back from the All-Star break? Some defensive miscues, some base running blunders. Seem like they are asleep at the wheel to start the second half.
Yeah, those base running mistakes, Chris, should never happen in any game, in any major league game. Both of those base running mistakes, the one by Real Muto and then the one by Stott last night, are things that you learn when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, right? It should never. Mistakes are going to happen in pro sports. Players are human too. They're going to make mistakes, but you can't make mistakes that are that egregious. Like your mistakes should be mistakes of effort, not of a loss of focus or a lack of fundamental.
When there are mistakes like that are so inexcusable, is that something that's an issue with the locker room or something with the messaging from Mattingly?
No, I think when you look at that, I think that there was a message from Mattingly at the beginning when he first came in that he wanted to clean up fundamentals, because the Phillies, this is something that has, I wouldn't say it's plagued them, but it's popped up from time to time. It's reared its ugly head from time to time. And I think Mattingly wanted to try and nip that in the bud. And for a while, I kind of felt like they were really focused on details and fundamentals. And, they were taking extra fielding practice, longer fielding practice. They were adding in more pitchers fielding practice and things like that. They were really working on some things that they worked on before, but maybe not with the same regularity. And you were hoping that would get cleaned up. And now, maybe, you say there's a honeymoon period for a new manager. Maybe it's kind of worn off a little bit. And a lot of the bad habits that these players have, they've reverted back to. And it's not a good thing because, and I thought JT Realmuto said it best when we talked to him after his base running blunder. We were comparing the Phillies to the Dodgers. And he's like, look, we're two very good teams here. And he's not wrong. They are two very good teams. He said, they do the little things better than we have when we've played them.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And it is. He's 100% right. Now, I think the Dodgers put a little bit of pressure on you, right? They make you try to do things that you wouldn't normally do because of how good they are. But if you could stay within yourself and play the fundamental of the game and then just let it be mano a mano, the two of the better teams going at it, one's going to emerge a winner over the other just because of, somebody is hitting better or somebody's pitching better. But you can't give the other team more outs or give them free outs when they're on defense. That's what the Phillies did, and that's why they lost this series.
Anthony, how about, I love this story. I read it today. Alex McFarland, he's facing his first batter ever, and he doesn't know. He knows it's a lefty, but he doesn't know it's Ohtani, right? How about that?
Welcome to
the big leagues. Your first batter is Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because
that's an arm too that you could, maybe he could be something in the bullpen that gives a spark again, like a Kirkring, as you mentioned, a couple of years ago.
Well, I'm gonna give you one other alternative here because I think he could be a guy that could be an interesting asset here at the deadline too. And I really kind of started to think that when somebody asked, I forgot who asked the question, but somebody asked Don Mattingly after the game last night what his impressions were of McFarland in his one inning. Obviously, it was a low leverage, ninth inning, teams down 5 runs, not a big deal. Yeah, okay, he's facing the top of their lineup, including Ohtani and Freeman. But Don's response to it was, he was okay. He dinged up a run. He got 3 outs. We wanted to make sure we got him into at least a game. Like, it was things that you wouldn't hear a manager say about a player who you expected to be here long term. It was kind of dismissive of the fact that he was here. So it means one of two things to me. Either he's only here for a short period of time, he's going to get sent back down because they don't really think he's ready yet. Or we don't think this guy's going to be part of the organization for very long because he's going to be part of a trade package in 11 days. So one of the two. Yes, it's a cool story. Yes, it's a fun story, but I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be part of this equation.
But we're in a casino right now, and that's not playing good poker right there, because if it was somebody that could be expendable and somebody you could use that you don't think is going to be in the organization, wouldn't you want to pump the guy up? So then, other teams like, oh, wow, look at this guy, Alex McFarland.
Yeah, the Phillies.
Yeah, well, you're right. And I agree with that, John. I guess, though, the one thing about Don is he's brutally honest. Like,
right.
He doesn't pull any punch. Like, he just tells you what he's feeling. I asked him yesterday. Here's a perfect example. Like, the difference between Don Mattingly and Rob Thompson. And I will circle this back to Alex McFarland in a second. But a year ago, when the Phillies decided that they were going to start rotating their outfielders and not play Nick Castellanos as much, kind of platoon him a little bit, Rob Thompson beat around the bush with his answers about it. Well, I just want to get a guy a day off. Oh, the turf in Texas is tough, and it's hard to play there in 3 games. We wanted to make sure guys are okay. Somebody's dealing with a nagging injury, blah, blah. Like, there was always an excuse for why they were doing it. he wasn't upfront about why they were doing it. And I understand you want to keep your cards close to the vest. Don Mattingly, when I asked him yesterday, point blank, hey, is this just want to give Brandon Marsh a day, or are you thinking about turning this back into a platoon again? He said, no, I'm thinking about turning it back into a platoon because the numbers against lefties aren't great. Like, he comes out and says it. He just doesn't wait. So to your point, when you look at Alex McFarland, like, yeah, they should probably couch it differently, but that's Don. That's how he just is, right? He's not there to be the PR guy. He's there to try and win baseball games, and he's going to tell you how it is. That's what I appreciate about it.
Yeah, another good story is Derek Hill. Now, Derek Hill was a first-round draft pick, 23rd overall, and he's in a short time, he had that 3 games in a row where the Mets and then the 2 games against the Nationals, 3 of the like big impact games for somebody that's it was basically kind of an afterthought. And we just had him on our podcast.
Hey, did he do the podcast with a toothpick in his mouth?
He did. So we learned some interesting things. One, yes, he has flavored toothpicks. That one was a watermelon and mint toothpick. He's got like a mocha,
some cinnamon.
I don't know if cinnamon, but he's got mocha and he's got some others. He orders them online. But the more fascinating thing that we found out is that when he made those great catches, the one over the wall against Soto, and then the one, against the Tigers that he's sprinting across the center field, he had the toothpick in his mouth. And I said, did you drop the toothpick? And he said, no. I said, that might be more athletic than actually catching the ball. Right. And I'm sure his mom, his doctor, I'm sure a lot of other people probably wouldn't, 9 out of 10 doctors wouldn't recommend having a toothpick while you're out there running around the outfield.
Kids, don't try this at home.
Right.
That's right.
What a great guy, though. And it's been a good story.
That's a great story. And it's so funny because you're right. He was really an afterthought. He was brought in to be the 5th outfielder. And we've seen how 5th outfielders have been used here in the past, right? I mean, these are just guys. Like, they're just there on your bench kind of thing. And Derek Hill has made an incredible impression right away, predominantly against left-hand pitching, and that's why he's here. But so much so, like, the impression has been so good that when I was driving back from the golf course today, I don't know if you saw this at all, John, on 95, there is a billboard for the Phillies, promoting the Phillies, and Derek Hill's on the billboard.
Huh.
Like, they're using Derek Hill in billboard promotions. Like, they recognize that this guy's kind of, moved the needle a little bit, something that you didn't expect him to do when you acquired him to just be kind of the emergency replacement for the injured Adolis Garcia.
And he's so likable too. I mean, but to have, just like Aaron Rowan kind of cemented his place in history with Philadelphia fans, by sacrificing his face to make that great catch. The fact that he just made that, the catch over the wall against Soto, basically saved the game because they would have lost 3-2 if he doesn't make that catch, most likely. And then to 2 out, 2 strikes, we're going to lose a miserable game to the Nats, and he hits the home run. That in itself is going to cement the legacy. And then again, he goes on and just keeps doing more things. So he's fun to watch. He's a fun guy to cover, and I think he's become quickly a fan favorite.
Well, I agree with you, and it's interesting because look, in today's game, because the players make as much money as they do, you can't have a star-laden team. Like, what I mean by that is you can't have the big red machine from the 70s where you had a star player at every position, because they would all be making $30 million a year. You wouldn't be able to afford that, right? So every team, every team needs to have, players like Derek Hill, and more teams in baseball today are running these platoons. You look at the Chicago White Sox; they're in first place in the American League at Central, and they platoon almost the entire lineup, right? I'm just worried about the Phillies running 3 outfield platoons, which is what they're currently doing. Like, I don't know how you look at it and go, okay, you're throwing a righty at us. we're going to give you Marsh, Crawford, Rincones. You throw a lefty at us, we're going to give you Sosa, Hill, and De La Cruz. Like, something just seems off there. Maybe 2 you get away with, but not 3. And it also prevents you from really having another option in the infield. You basically have to roll out Harper, Stott, Turner, Bohm every game.
Yeah. And I was telling Chris earlier that, and mentioning the 4 of our players are in the bottom 8 of defensive metrics in the major leagues. And it's Turner, it's Stott, it's Bohm, and it's Crawford. And you can't have that, right? I mean,
Right.
If you're, especially up the middle, you need defense up the middle. And by the, by the metrics, that it just, you can't have that happen. So, and then you add that with the fact that the right-handed bats have the lowest OPS of any right-handed bats in Major League Baseball. Again, we're getting most of our production from Harper, Schwarber, Marsh. Right-handed bats, you're getting a little bit from JT here and there, but for the most part, it's been silent. So you can almost make an argument, going back to the original premise, that the right-handed bat is the most important. But again, they need a starter, they need bullpen, they need a right-handed bat.
Yeah, they need all 3. I will tell you that I think that you can look at it from this perspective. You can say we already know we have 3 of the best starting pitchers in the game. When you look at Fangraphs WAR, Sanchez, Wheeler, and Luzardo are all top 8 in WAR amongst pitchers. So 3 of the top 8 in Major League Baseball. That's really good. Duran is arguably the best or second best closer in the sport when thinking about Mason Miller or the Padres, and he's right there. So you have the guys who can go 6 innings, and you have the closer. You don't have the 7th and 8th inning, right? That's where it needs to improve. You could make a valid argument that if you go out and get 2 big-time relievers and don't add anything else, that will be enough to make you a team that can win in October. And fans don't want to hear it. Fans want the right-handed bat. They've been screaming for it for 4 years, but you know what? It's just not there. It's not out there. Like, who is it? Who is that player that you're going to go get and say, oh, that's the difference maker? If you're looking for who can be a difference maker in October, it might just be the bullpen guys.
Man, really appreciate you joining us, Anthony, dropping into the All In show. And earlier we were kicking around some Flyer stuff, and you are one of the hosts of our Snow the Goalie show here on the WBCB Sports Network and across the Federi News Network. We were talking about some of the signings that they have. So, we're nearing the top of the hour, but if you could let us know what you think of the Drysdale, holding on to Jamie Drysdale, signing Zegras. Do you like the terms of those agreements and the numbers that the Flyers settled on? Do they seem like they are going to be bear fruit down the road?
Yeah, no, I do, and I'm happy to join you guys. I'm glad you guys asked me to pop on today. I like the money. I think that it leaves Danny Briere with some wiggle room. You signed 2 core players for a combined $15 point whatever million
per year.
They were willing to sign Leo Carlson for $18 million, right? So you signed 2 of your guys for less than you were offering for one center. And you still have a lot of that wiggle room. They were going to probably be able to sign those guys to these contracts anyway, even if Carlson came. So it just goes to show the value that they got there. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more term, because if things don't go as you hope they'll go over the next 4 seasons, then these guys could get a little antsy and try and force their way elsewhere. We're in the era of player empowerment in the NHL, and that's something the all teams, but the Flyers have to be concerned about going forward. So they got to keep their players happy. So would I have preferred that these were 6 or 7 year deals? I would have, but I understand why they probably had to go shorter term to get them done, because the players want more control over where they ultimately end up playing. So I do think that they're both good deals for the Flyers, and both of these players will be key pieces for them as they continue to try and become a Stanley Cup contender in the next year or two.
So one of the big needs for the Flyers is, obviously a center, but also the quarterback for the power play. The power play for the Flyers was good last year. Is there someone in the system or on the team that you can develop to become that quarterback, or do you think we need to go out and get somebody?
Well, they tried. They tried to go out and get somebody, right? They went after John Carlson, the longtime defenseman for the Washington Capitals. It was traded to Anaheim right before the deadline. He became a free agent. The Flyers were one of the finalists in that conversation. Ultimately, he decides to go play in Tampa. It's probably the best fit for him because they're ready to win a Stanley Cup right now, and he only has a year or two left. Whereas the Flyers, if it was a year later, he probably would have come here. His wife's family is from Maryland. It would have been a lot closer to her family. It just happened to be like off by 1 year, the timing of it, right? So they tried to get a guy. Without doing that, they now are going to look at it internally. They traded for David Jiricek a year ago, right before the trade deadline when they traded Bobby Brink. And he's got one heck of a shot from the blue line. And so I think that they're going to give him the first look. But from what I've been told, Drysdale, this is something he's worked on all offseason. And it's going to be something that he looks to be better at next season. So I think it's the combination of Drysdale and Jiricek are probably going to be your power play quarterback. Will it make that power play better? Who knows? It might still be bottom of the league, but at least they're going to give those two guys the chance to try and prove that they can handle it.
It's got nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the last thing too is I think a big a big say in what the Flyers do this year is does Mishkov take that next step that everyone's expecting? It kind of like he somewhat flatlined last year, if not took a almost a downturn. If Mishkov develops the way they think he can, that could have a tremendous effect on the team.
Like, are they monitoring like his off season? Do they have people like working with him to make sure he's back in shape this time?
They had Slava Kuznetsov, who's both his translator and their skating coach, went over to Russia, spent a few weeks with him while he was over there. Mishkov's due back early August, so he'll be back here about a month before camp, so they'll still be able to work with him then. He has been putting in more work. He's going to be in shape this year in time for camp. And I think going into his third year, you'll see a better version of Matvei Mishkov. I do caution, not about him, but about the other young players. Like, I believe Porter Martone's going to be a star in this league. But he came up at the end of the season, played 9 games, and then the playoffs. What's an 82-game season or 84-game season now look like for him? Does he hit a little bit of a wall? Does Denver Barkey hit a little bit of a wall? Does Alex Bump? These guys have never played a season that long. What is that going to be like in year 2? That's where they could take a small step back, even though those players are still developing. So we will see. But I think Mishkov's a guy that is a certain bounce back candidate.
Good stuff. Thanks so much, Anthony, for checking in and being part of All In here from Mt Airy Casino and Resort.
Thank you, Anthony.
Anytime, guys.
All right.
Awesome.
Ready for a getaway where you can be extraordinary. Escape to the Poconos Mountains in the ultimate luxury of Mt Airy Casino Resort, Pennsylvania's first AAA 4-diamond casino resort. Hit the floor for nonstop gaming action. Feel the rush of the floor with over 1,700 slots and over 70 table games. Whether you're here for the high-stakes thrills or the ultimate relaxation, your perfect escape is waiting. Find your flavor, find your luck, find your luxury at Mt Airy Casino Resort.
And we're like hanging out in the poker room. We got the sports gaming is kind of right behind us here. A lot of action going on just behind. Although they said it's not a very busy night. They got there's only 5 baseball games. There's some WNBA action, but not a very busy slate today. But always great to be here, especially, in the atmosphere, soaking it up and feeling the energy.
Well, book your experience now at MountAiryCasino.com. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Penn Community Bank, we're your financial partner for all of life's moments. Our checking accounts are designed with you in mind, providing convenient access and 5-star mobile and online banking services to help you achieve your goals. Right now, you can earn a $350 cash bonus for opening a qualifying new checking account with direct deposits in the first 60 days. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/cash bonus to learn more. Penn Community Bank, here we grow. Offer terms and conditions apply. Limited time offers subject to change. As for full details, member FDIC.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. BCWSA Utility Services wants to make sure you stay informed when it matters most. In rare situations like a water main break, boil water notice, or other service issues, BCWSA uses an emergency notification system to send alerts by phone, text, or email. But they can only reach you if your contact information is up to date. Visit bcwsa.net and click Update Your Contact Information to get started. BCWSA Utility Services.
All in here from Mt Airy Casino Resort Spa. Great spot. Beautiful day. Chris Ermer hanging out with John Brazer, talking Philly sports. And we talked a little Phillies, some Flyers. We will be joined later on in the 4 o'clock hour by Joe Watson, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. And we'll also have Ben Jones with us, the CEO of BCWSA Utility Services. And we'll probably talk a little bit of Eagles football with Ben. Of course, some Flyers hockey with Joe. But how about the 76ers, John? What do you think about LeBron to Philly? The Sixers emerging as one of the few teams with a realistic shot to get LeBron James. I don't know how realistic it is. I'm not sure who the leading candidates are. I mean,
I think the leading candidates are Cleveland and Miami, Golden State. Although you're hearing Philly or the Sixers, Cleveland, and Miami, and. With the Sixers, he's going to have to take less, but I don't think it's that. I think it's where he wants to be, where he wants to win a championship. At his age, it's all about winning the championship, I assume.
Right.
So, I guess with the Sixers, he'd only be able to be paid 3.5, which is the maximum they have to pay.
I see the whole thing about fit and vibe and just what he feels most comfortable with, what situation, because the money – at a certain point, it really boggles the mind.
He's made enough to help out 5 generations of his family.
I mean, for the average fan, when it comes to many pro athletes and the numbers when it comes to their contract, it's hard to, hard to relate sometimes to what the choices that they are making. But I don't think LeBron is even chasing a ring necessarily. I mean, I know he would love to get another championship and he wants to be with a team that's going to be successful, but he's had his moments in the NBA. He's been at the top. And I know he wants to get back there. He's going to enter this next season, I think, with an idea to compete at the highest level. But I just think he's looking for the right fit, the right vibe. And forget about LeBron. How about Jaylen Brown? I mean,
let's go back to LeBron there, because if you're LeBron, let's say you're pretend to be LeBron. So all of a sudden you're thinking about the Sixers.
All right.
You're obviously thinking about, all right, They've got the forward in Jaylen Brown. They've got the big guy in Joel Embiid. They've got really, with Maxey and Edgecombe, and now, the rookie, you've got an exciting team. And, let's face it, these days he's a scorer, but he's also more of a facilitator, rebounder, and it could be a great fit. I think, now that they've got kind of the pieces, that Jaylen Brown really did kind of change the whole dynamic of the team. But going back to LeBron, so you should be a fit, right? You think about your legacy. The Sixers haven't won since 1983, right? So all of a sudden, if you can bring a championship to a major city, a basketball title-starved city, right? That's he would be legendary.
No question.
He'd be like Moses Malone in this town.
Absolutely.
When Moses Malone or Pete Rose in this town, these superstars that were end of their career that brought a championship to Philadelphia. So I'm sure he's thinking about that. I'm sure he's thinking about just, lifestyle, living there, probably not as important. Then you look at the competition, Miami, they got the Greek Freak, right?
Yes.
So you're playing along the Greek Freak. So you've got to think you've got a chance. LeBron's all about Miami. He's been there and he knows the area.
I mean, Cleveland has been a good team.
Cleveland, it's more of a nostalgic going back home, and finishing what he started. They
also are a pretty good team, though.
And they're a good team too. So I think, and then Golden State, which is, I guess it's up there too. But, you're again fitting in with Steph. So.
Well, everybody's getting annoyed now just that the process is taking so long. And again, LeBron is like holding up the league,
right.
And everybody wants him just to say, where are you going? And
I didn't want him at first. And now I think I'm in the feeling that, if he can bring us over the top, and I don't think he would ruin the chemistry. I think, there'd be a lot of talk radio. We would love it. Right. My podcast would love it.
He's a lightning rod.
Total lightning rod. And it would be fun. It really would be fun.
The haters and the lovers
right.
of LeBron James, a lot of them out there. I heard that the NBA schedule is being held up due to his decision because where he goes is going to determine what are going to be the marquee matchups and where they want. All right. So annoyed that it's taking so long. But I also heard, and this is kind of in the annoying column, that LeBron is holding up the process because he's trying to find a team that will trade either for AD or Kyrie Irving, two guys that he has played with in the past.
Well, then the Sixers are out because we don't have room.
That may be the case. That was like the news I heard today about LeBron, and specifically what's holding up the process is that he may be trying to get somebody to include Kyrie or include Anthony Davis in the whatever team he's going to be on. And I guess then the teams are trying to put together the package, and
that's a hard ask right there.
But that goes into the annoying column that he's trying to tinker with the process to that degree. And also he's been criticized for trying to go to super teams and trying to kind of put his thumb on the scale when it comes to some of this stuff. And this certainly,
and we found that super teams don't necessarily work out in Philadelphia. I do like what the Sixers overall have done. I mean, again, we were stuck. We were completely stuck. You had not only the Joel Embiid situation where, obviously when he's healthy, big if when he's healthy, that he is, can dominate. And then you had Paul George, and they both have max contracts. And Paul George, again, 35 years old, 34 or 35, whatever. And he played fairly well.
This was shocking, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So all of a sudden, we you're trying to think of how did the Sixers get out of this? How did they get out of? They got one guy who's two max contracts, one guy who can't stay on the court. The other guy can't stay on the court either. Gets suspended for, I guess performance enhancing drugs, or what was he suspended for?
I forget. It was some type of
something.
Supplement that he was taking. Okay, so on the banned list.
And then he's older, and does he have it still? And then it's a shame because you're like, we just hit the lottery. We got Maxey. Maxey was such a great draft pick. Played 1 year at Kentucky, and people hadn't really seen him, right? And just all of a sudden he blossoms into a star, almost right from not blossoms. He kind of came out of the shoot. And then you get VJ Edgecombe, and Edgecombe has been everything you've asked for, right? And then even Summer League, LeBaron, right? Philbin from Alabama. So we got 3 guards, and you're like, great. All we need is some big men. Well, we have the big men, but we're kind of stuck there because, again, there are situations. And then out of nowhere, were you shocked when you got that?
Yeah.
I remember, I forget where I was, but
I was at a Phillies game, and I was there. It was a fireworks night. And I think it was the second fireworks night the Phillies did this season.
Right.
And we were down there. It's kind of a family tradition. And my daughter was with one of her friends. Like, the Sixers got Jaylen Brown. Like, what?
Right.
No, really? And then to find out that it was for Paul George.
Right.
Oh my God. What?
You're thinking, what was Boston thinking? And I think Boston, from what I understand, like just the analytics, they're highly analytical, like a lot of teams. And, they came to the conclusion that Jaylen Brown, like there's these analytic stats that said the team was better off when he didn't play as when he did.
That's crazy.
Right?
I mean,
and some of these numbers, next level numbers, proved it out, and they thought they could, again, abandon ship and get rid of him, bring in some pieces, get some flexibility, money-wise, get some draft picks.
I mean, we'll see, but that's why analytics gets lampooned, because
right.
that's just ridiculous. And there may be numbers and metrics that back up that decision. I think it was all about the bridge burning that Jaylen Brown did after the season, the podcasting that he did.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. But
and some of the things he said. I mean, to say
but they're not going to get rid of a superstar like that just for that.
If you can't play with the other superstar. And basically he was saying between the lines on some of those podcasts saying this was my best year ever because I didn't have this other guy in my way.
All right.
And if he feels like this other guy's in his way, you're right, though. If it's an asset, you got to maximize that as a sports franchise, and you can't give up your good players.
He put the team he just lost to,
a brutal
who's in
spot.
Your division.
He put him in a really, really tough spot.
Well, it's our game because he's one of the best defensive players in the league. He's a total scorer, right? I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the pieces all fit together.
LeBron or no LeBron, this team feels like they're right back in contention, and they should be. It has injected new energy into the Sixers fan base for sure.
Yeah.
When we get, if LeBron's on the roster or not, when this NBA season starts, the Sixers fans are going to be excited to see what Jaylen Brown is going to provide. And for
even
this
then,
team.
We had no bench last year, right? Our bench was terrible. And now we get Anthony Simons, right? Played for the Celtics. You get Dean Wade. So you get Anthony Simons and Dean Wade. You got a guard and a forward, again, along with Jaylen Brown, along with LeBaron Fallon. And
I don't know who the Sixers really need that sharpshooter guy,
Yeah, that's the one need they don't exactly have. They've got the defense. They've got that athleticism, but they don't have that sharp shooter. They could go that JJ Redick type,
right?
You know what I mean? Or Kyle Korver back in the day, or Steph Curry, obviously, or others. They would, that's what they need.
Yeah.
They don't have that sharp shooter.
Well, and that guy can come off the bench, though. I mean, you don't need to have that guy in your starting five.
Right.
So as they tweak things and continue to round out the roster, that's one of the things that I just would love to get a shooting specialist on the Sixers, because it feels like it's not only last year, but for the past few years, it's been one of the things that
to go cold.
Maybe Daryl Morey just doesn't factor into his thinking as much as it does other GMs or something like that.
Right.
But give me somebody who can knock down a three with a hand right in their face.
But it's right for the taking, because really, the Knicks obviously are going to be the team to beat.
Catch and shoot guy.
The Knicks are going to be the team to beat. It looks like Miami with the Greek Freak, and Cleveland should be good, especially if LeBron goes there. But the Sixers, right? But it looks like the Celtics they have to be taking a step back, right? I mean, you can't lose Jaylen Brown and expect to be, still up there. I know they still have Tatum and they got some other players, but this is an opportunity right now. you'd have to say the Sixers, if you went on the betting market, I'm sure we probably have the second best odds.
Oh, their odds went way up.
Right.
Way
I think
up.
behind the Knicks.
Oh, hey, we're going to talk some Eagles football. Again, we'll be joined in a little bit by Ben Jones from BCWSA Utility Services. But, John, I was hoping to tell you what's wrong with USA Soccer. I think
can I guess?
I know what's wrong with USA Soccer.
Can I guess? Are you a soccer hater?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Is this USA Soccer or just soccer in general?
USA Soccer.
All right. What is wrong with USA Soccer?
I think part of the problem is that we do not embrace the sport on a cultural level, right? We're not a soccer nation.
Right.
We don't love football as much as we love American football.
Well, we have too many other sports.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
But part of it is that we see the sport as a foreign sport. And one of the things that I think we need to do as Americans, red, white, and blue, is to have people who are Americans on the broadcasts, like on the panels. I realize this is a small issue, maybe not something that is going to move the needle that much, but it's how we think about the game as Americans. We think about the game as someone else's game. We think about the game as a European game. We look at the game and say, why is it played like this, and why?
But you're looking at the World Cup, that's broadcast throughout the world, right? So
we have our own USA broadcast that's just on your USA channels. Those broadcasts should have USA people with American accents.
So you're saying the ones with Thoreau and the
get him out of here.
Tarian and
the other thing I was really surprised at, and I'm sure he said some outrageous things, and I don't know everything that Alexi Lalas said.
Right.
But, man, the narrative that popped up about how he was like a heel on this broadcast team, I just did not understand.
Well, I didn't understand that either.
He and Ibram Zlatan whatever had this beef. And
I did not know that.
They were kind of going back and forth and making little quips at each other. And he's our USA guy.
Well, he's a colorful player from, way back.
Yes.
The World Cup
94.
And you've got, Landon Donovan, you got some other.
Now, but what do you think about that? I mean, that just annoys me. It irks me. It may not change USA Soccer, but as Americans, right?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think we have the big superstar personality guy. Alexi Lalas is a good player, but he wasn't like the superstar, certainly not those guys.
Landon Donovan,
right?
He was a better. Zlatan was really not that great of a World Cup player. I mean, he was a big player for Sweden.
Yeah, he was great player. I mean, you can't take anything away from him. I think that.
Nor would you take anything from Landon Donovan and put him in the same spot as an American.
I thought you were going to say what my wife's biggest complaint is all the diving and the whining and the crying and the.
That is also something that as an American brand, right, we need to say Americans don't like that stuff. So if you are a USA Soccer player and you get hurt, you pop back up again because that's what we do. And that's our brand. If the rest of the world does it the other way, fine.
We got to ask Joe Watson what he thinks of that, because talking about a Broad Street bully who basically, guys were getting like their teeth knocked out or their jaws rewired, and then they come back in the third period. These guys get a shin bruise, and
not even that. I mean, sometimes the goalies, if you brush up against a goalkeeper,
and then
they'll flop down.
I know a lot of it's strategy as far as to influence the ref,
and I accept that. I'm cool with that. And if we want to play a different brand, we can do that in America and say, hey, this is how we do it, and that's how the world does it.
Right.
But this is
it's almost like hockey. Like going back to Joe Watson. The Broad Street Bullies, they just beat up that Red Army team. They were like the free-flowing skaters,
right?
And pass the puck around, skate around wide circles, how
about get a couple body
checks? The Flyers are basically just like pound the Med Van Imp, just like shove them into the ground. So yes, you have to remind me. We got to ask Joe Watson about that, because I'd love to get it. He's like, I can just picture him now. Oh boy. It's just I just stop.
Yeah. All right, here's the other thing, right? USA Soccer. We have to cherry pick the best players in the world. And that's really what a lot of nations do. They don't always develop their own.
You're saying for MLS?
For the World Cup.
Okay.
And I guess maybe in advance of
we
next
kind of
World
did.
Cup.
Our striker, could have played for 3 different countries, and he chose America. So you're saying more of that.
We need to do that
Yeah.
more often. Anybody who's connected to the
Right.
United States through some type of relative or whatever family connection that is permitted to play, we need to lobby them harder. And I mean, I'm sure they are putting on a full court press in that regard, but I just think that's another element that you see some of these other teams do. They're not players that were necessarily native, born, bred, raised as in Spain or
I'd
whatever.
be curious if, I was thinking about this as I was coming over the Commodore Barry Bridge, that whether the Union will get a big bump because, I think this World Cup was a huge success on many levels. I think one, I loved all the videos of the Europeans and fans from all over the world coming to America and discovering Buc-ee's, and they're discovering free refills and Walmarts and Texas Roadhouse. It was just, some of those videos were awesome, right? Or rodeos. It was great. I think soccer got a big boost. I think the viewership was probably the all-time high, right? And the games were, I know a lot of people complain about the last game because, Argentina didn't even get a shot on goal, but that's almost akin to saying a baseball game's boring when you have a great pitching duel. When you have like Steve Carlton versus, not Bob Gibson, but you know what I mean? Like Nolan Ryan. And it's tactical. I think it doesn't have enough scoring for American viewers, like in general. But I got to tell you, like my wife and daughter, who are not soccer fans, they watched and they didn't think it was boring. They watched, even when it was a 1-0 game. Now there's something, you got people complaining that the clock goes backwards or something, right?
Yes. That's another thing. If we want to do USA MLS soccer, let's count down. Let's do it. That's how we do it in the USA. I don't know. We put our own stamp on the game, and that I think would help USA soccer in the long run. I don't think they're going to get a huge boost, John. I hope that they do.
I think they will get a boost because I think people
a little one. There will be one. There will be a boost. No,
I think just like the Flyers
it.
got a boost after the Olympics, I think soccer is going to get a boost. I haven't gone to a game in a long time, and I think I'm going to take my daughter. Maybe I won't because I've got 2.5 more weeks before she goes to college. But I'm going to take somebody, my wife or somebody to.
I'll go.
Yeah. All right. You want to go?
To the Union down to.
Yeah. And we also had the Kevin Sullivan, the young kid, at a Phillies game. Was it 3 years ago when he signed as a 14-year-old, maybe 2 years ago? And that was, did I tell you that story? So he just got signed, 14 years old, the youngest professional contract ever.
It's amazing.
Right? Totally amazing. He came down with his mom. And
what were you doing at 14 years old?
Right. Well, I told my daughter, I said, you're a slacker. I was just with a kid who just signed a big contract. What are you doing? But he brought his brother, who's 18 at the time, and he was on the Union. But it was great. I took him into Rob Thompson's office. Rob sat with him for 15, 20 minutes, right? And the kid was very polite and everything. And then outside waiting was Bryce Harper. Now, Bryce Harper had a lot in common with him because Bryce Harper was young, on the cover of Sports Illustrated,
right.
16 years old. And, they're talking about
a teenage phenom in his own right.
Yeah, and Bryce is giving him a bat and Kevin Sullivan's soaking it all in. And then we go down on the field and we're playing the Yankees. And who comes up to him out of the blue? Sees him. Nobody tells him to go up to him. Aaron Judge was at the batting cage and he comes around. He says, "Hey, congratulations on your contract." And he didn't know who he was. Kevin Sullivan didn't know who Aaron Judge was. I know he knew he played for the Yankees. He's got a uniform, right? And I'm sure he thought he was a big player. But he starts talking for a while, and then we're walking out, and Shane Gillis, who just set the record for most fans attending a comedy show at the Link. So he meets Shane Gillis. We go up to the suite, and I said, "Kevin, man, what a day, man! How cool is that? You met the manager of the Phillies." One of the biggest superstars in baseball in Bryce Harper, one of the biggest superstars in baseball in Aaron Judge, and you met probably the biggest comedian right now in Shane Gillis. Who's your favorite person that you met, right? And he gave a typical teenage, because I have one, teenage answer. You know what he said? He said the comedian guy, because he has 1.6 million followers. So it wasn't like the cool thing of meeting a Yankee or Harper give me a bat. he literally judged it on the number of followers he had on Instagram.
See, those soccer guys are messed up, right?
I thought it was great.
I love the World Cup. I also think it was a big success, especially in the sense of a cultural exchange.
Yes.
And I thought America
came up great.
Did a pretty good job
Sure.
of hosting and looked pretty good and all of that stuff. So.
I'll give you a trivia question. Do you know what Phillies announcer that I played soccer against in high school? I was a striker for Hartford School, right?
Phillies
and
announcer.
he was my year. Phillies announcer was my year and was a striker for a rival team. Who was it?
Gosh, I don't know. Tom McCarthy?
It wasn't T-Mac.
No.
T-Mac's younger than I am.
No.
Come on.
Oh, my
You get one more guess.
Kevin Stocker?
Kevin Stocker, no. Kevin
He
Stocker.
was at the majors.
He grew up out in state of Washington. No, it was Ruben Amaro Jr.
No way.
Ruben Amaro Jr. was my year in high school. He was the striker for.
Now, see, I thought Ruben Amaro was much older than you, John.
Okay, well, I act a lot younger. But he was Penn Charter. He was the MVP of the Interact that year. And we had a lot of great players in that league. And, he played baseball, obviously, at Stanford. But I think Ruben could have played D1 soccer anywhere he wanted to. He was that good. So it's just unfair that some of these professional athletes are, such great athletes overall.
Hey, by the way, my comments about USA Soccer also apply to American broadcasting for tennis and other sports. How about golf? Just because it's golf, do we need some British guy on the call? No.
I
Just
like the
because
British announcers.
If it's tennis, do we need to have British people on, like British accents on there?
I like the British accent. I put on Premier League soccer on Saturday morning, Sunday morning. No, it's Premier League soccer, right?
Okay.
But I do. I kind of, I don't know. You kind of want to hear from the experts, don't you?
Well, it feels like it classes it up a little bit.
Right.
But again, that's I think that's a statement on how we see our own culture.
Yeah, maybe you're
and,
right.
I think we need to, I don't know. We need to have Americans
All
calling American sports.
All right. I'm with you.
USA.
USA. Chris, are you ready to treat your taste buds to something truly special?
Oh, yeah.
At Mt Airy Casino Resort, world-class dining is always just steps away from the action. Start your culinary journey with the ultimate variety at the buffet. Dive into the bold, fresh flavors of Lucky 8 Noodle and Sushi Bar, or grab legendary bite at Guy Fieri's Mount Pocono Kitchen. Looking to elevate your evening? Indulge in prime steaks and handcrafted pasta at the award-winning Bistecca by Il Molino. We will be there tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And we were there last year and the year before that. It's fantastic.
Loving it.
I got to figure out what I'm going to start thinking about what I'm going to order now. Need a quick pick me up? Stop by Cafe Matto for a premium coffee. I did that on the way out last year. And I think there you go.
Right,
and I think you get a little, since we're staying here tonight, they give you a free coffee.
Complimentary cup.
And a fresh pastry to keep you fueled and ready for the floor. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, coming right back, take care of a couple of things. We will be joined by Ben Jones from BCWSA Utility Services.
Are we going to talk football or golf?
Talk a little Eagles football, and we'll talk some golf too. See you guys getting ready to hit the course tomorrow morning.
Yes, we are.
I missed my invitation. What happened?
I don't know. Talk to Lee Alexander. It's his fault.
I don't have clubs. That's a problem.
Yeah, that would be the first problem.
We'll be right back.
Life's moments. Our checking accounts are designed with you in mind, providing convenient access and 5-star mobile and online banking services to help you achieve your goals. Right now, you can earn a $350 cash bonus for opening a qualifying new checking account with direct deposits in the first 60 days. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/cash bonus to learn more. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Offer terms and conditions apply. Limited time offer subject to change. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. BCWSA Utility Services wants to make sure you stay informed when it matters most. In rare situations like a water main break, boil water notice, or other service issues, BCWSA uses an emergency notification system to send alerts by phone, text, or email. But they can only reach you if your contact information is up to date. Visit bcwsa.net and click Update Your Contact Information to get started. BCWSA Utility Services.
Thing here from the Mt Airy Casino Lodge and Resort in the Poconos. Chris Ermer with John Brazer, and we are now joined by CEO of BCWSA Utility Services, Ben Jones. Welcome. Welcome.
Hey, great to see you.
What'd you think of Lee Alexander on the guitar right there?
Yeah.
Pretty good, right?
I wish. Yeah, you could play then. That'd be cool if you did it at work.
We are finally going to be golfing tomorrow morning on this course. Every time we come in, we see the course,
It's all
but we never
snow-covered.
play. Have you played it?
I haven't played it since the 1980s.
Okay.
Which goes to show you how old I am. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to playing out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're gonna have good weather like we are today.
It's supposed to be gorgeous. I think.
Good. Perfect.
Yeah. Cool. Should be fun.
All right. So, what do you think of the in the sports world? Chris and I were covering the Phillies, and we went through some of the issues right now. Obviously, they're facing tougher competition with the Dodgers, and they got the Yankees starting tomorrow night. But it's disappointing with the base running issues, some of the defensive lapses, and some of their pitching. That's if your name is not Wheeler or Sanchez or Luzardo. So
Right.
I think pretty much everyone. But we also have the trade deadline coming up, so we were talking about that. We were talking the Sixers with all the moves they made in the offseason. We were talking the Flyers, some of the moves they've made, and how they've set themselves up for success. But we haven't really gone into the Eagles, and I know you're a big Eagles fan.
I am.
So, obviously they have a new offensive coordinator, right? Sean Mannion.
Yep.
They haven't hit camp yet.
Oh, hey, by the way, they do have public practice on
August
August the 25th over there at the link. If anybody wants to mark the calendars there, I know that's a pretty popular thing. And since they stopped going up to like Lehigh and doing the training camps where everybody could stop in, those were fun. When you could just go up there and just visit. But now the 25th, they got the thing over at the link, which would be nice.
Well, it'll be interesting too with, obviously the big move in the offseason was A.J. Brown getting traded. So, Mekhi Lemon, which I think a lot of people said, that was an interesting pick because, the Eagles notoriously, Jalen Hurts, have not been an offense where they utilize a slot receiver and throw over the middle. It's mostly, because you had A.J. Brown, but also I think because of the style and the preferences of Jalen. Now you've got, it's going to put this, Devontae Smith will be the highlight. He's your clear number one. And then, but you're not going to draft a guy with that, with a first round pick, Mekhi Lemon, and not utilize him to the fullest. So, does that mean that Jalen Hurts is going to have to kind of learn to get comfortable throwing over the middle?
Yeah, I think anybody has to make an adjustment. It's a team. And one of the things is, there's a certain offense that the quarterback runs well. One of the problems that Jalen has, is we all know, is that he has a hard time when he's running in one direction and can't throw across. We seem to have worked on that, and it's gotten a lot better. Getting over the center is going to be tough because while he's a good size, he's not super tall. And as a result of that, I think it's going to be hard for him to spot some of the receivers unless they're actual routes that, he anticipates in advance. But if he gets any pressure, I think that's going to be tough.
Yeah, what I like about Lemon is it seems like he's kind of a possession guy, which is kind of the role that AJ played. So I love that. What do you think about some of the rankings, maybe some of the shade that Eagles fans see Jalen Hurts getting and how he has been ranked by NFL players? I think he was ranked 56th. And one of the things that I feel is very, I feel like it's so difficult to get these guys ranked. Oh, hold on a second. Let me get the Eagles. 56 was what Jalen was ranked amongst the top 100 players in the NFL. And I just feel like it's such a position-specific sport that how do you rank a quarterback compared to an offensive lineman or a quarterback compared to a linebacker? And it makes this list to me somewhat distorted. And I don't know, if your quarterback is in the top 100, 56, that's not so bad. And I'm just, the narrative around Jalen, I would love to see him turn that around this year by connecting with some of his receivers and putting up some numbers that kind of change the way people perceive him.
Can you go back to that the slide? Not go back. You showed it to me earlier about the rankings of the quarterbacks themselves. That's a better barometer than.
Well, this was off of Madden 26,
right? So it's utilizing stats that we wouldn't be gauging, but that is a pretty fair. If you look at this already. So Ben, he's got Josh Allen. Again, this is Madden, but this is not.
Yeah.
But it's a gauge. It's a somewhat indicator. You got Josh Allen, who I think is clearly the best quarterback in the NFL. You can make, I guess you could make an argument. Lamar Jackson he's been up and down, right? When he has the ups and he's got his legs. Joe Burrow, he gets hurt a lot, but man, the guy's probably has one of the best arms out there. Patrick Mahomes, what more can you say about Patrick Mahomes? And then you get Stafford last year, who was the MVP, wasn't he? Stafford. And then Goff had a good year last year. He used to be he plays well in the dome at home games, but then you get him on the road. But he seemed to turn that corner. Justin Herbert, same thing, kind of was a ballyhooed player, and then he's starting to come in to his own. I mean, you got to put, if you're putting, I'm putting Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's definitely ahead of Baker Mayfield. He's definitely ahead of Jaden Daniels. He hasn't proved it. I'd put him above Justin Herbert. Would you rather? So I guess it's like, who would you rather have? I might even put him. I honestly might even slot him in 5th. I could see Jalen Hurts again. He's got to clean up some things, and he's got to kind of revert back to what he was. But if you would you rather have Hurts right now? If you could trade out Hurts for Goff or Hurts for Herbert.
No.
Who would you rather have?
I stay with Hurts, and again, I think that the rankings and everything else can be a little bit unfair. I mean, one of the problems with the team is that you need all the teams all running on the same, Pistons, et cetera, whatever.
Yeah, like offensive line.
Bottom line is
needs to be healthy, and
you got to have all of those things,
right?
Because all of them are going to have an impact on it.
Yep.
And if you look at a lot of those quarterbacks, they had the benefit of having really strong lines. They've had the benefit of having good receivers, whatever has made them that famous. Now, Josh Allen's kind of the exception to that because he seems to be able to do it all.
Yeah.
If you're a Buffalo fan, you still have the same mixed feelings, if you will, that a lot of Philadelphia Eagles have about Jalen Hurts. But the reality is he's an amazing quarterback. Jalen, I think, is a really, really good quarterback. And I think that given the right players and the right opportunities under a good season, I think you're going to see him shine. And I don't think you're going to see that tension in the locker room.
Do you think
that's what I'm hoping?
Do you think the fact thing, he was ranked 3rd, in 2023, he's the same guy. He's the same quarterback. And I don't think he's regressed as much as that would indicate. But the perception around the league, I think, is what has changed more than his play.
Well, he's also had a different
skill.
Offensive coordinator, I feel like, every year. Someone doesn't do well and he gets fired, or someone does so well, they get moved on to a head coach.
I think he has. That's accurate.
So I'm not giving an excuse, but when you're learning a different system every year, I mean, when Kellen Moore was his offensive coordinator, right, or Steichen, that's some of the best years he had, right? And conversely, he's had some tough ones when. So I think part of it is him. I'm not giving him total excuse, but hopefully Sean Mannion. It'll be really interesting. Sean Mannion, if he's in that tree of the Packers and the 49ers, kind of West Coast offense, get it out quickly. we'll see if that works.
I think one of the things that you have to remember is, you said, "Oh, it's the same person. Look where he was ranked then." He's got the potential. So basically, it's like a golf handicap. It's based upon your potential of golf, not what you are always at. Okay, so it's your low and your high and so forth. Well, in reality, that's what the situation is here. You've got somebody that's really a Class A quarterback. He's got potential to be an amazing quarterback above and beyond that. And that's just gonna be part of everything that we just talked about, having the right circumstances, the right time, and him being healthy. I think that's obviously one of the things that's important.
I know we're jumping around here, all in on WBCB and the Federi News Network. Great to have Ben Jones with us from BCWSA Utility Services. Want to find out what's happening new with BCWSA and all that stuff. But in that spot, can you give me some perspective on what how a manager like Don Mattingly can influence his players while not losing the locker room? That fine line that it seems like the Phillies have come back and they are not playing sharp baseball. And how do you turn that around? As a leader, what do you say to professionals to motivate them to be their best?
Sounds like everyday work to me. The bottom line is you can have amazing quality players and they may not be performing. In the Phillies case and Don Mattingly, I mean, he came in, he had some success right after the change. They certainly had moved up. I think one of the things is that fine line that you walk between having your employees, or in his case, his professionals, as it may be, of having friends, okay, versus obviously being their boss, all right, and making sure that you're getting the performance that they're capable of. I think that his changes, from what I heard when he first came in, was a little bit more structured. After the change, before it was common for Bryce not to actually go to batting practice. And while he's an amazing hitter, everybody needs batting practice. It's just like going to the driving range on a golf course.
Well, you're saying hitting outside because he would hit in the cage. It's just he wouldn't go outside.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, I mean, but that's batting practice.
Right.
I mean, there's a difference between being out there and there's a big, sitting in your living room and hitting balls,
right.
But the bottom line is I do think that's important. So in any event, I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges, and trying to make sure that the people that you're working with, that are your professionals, and that there's an expectation, particularly at that level, of what their performance has to be.
And it seems like he came in, he created expectations, created standards, but the difficult thing is to maintain those standards and maintain those expectations. And I feel like he has maybe loosened things up a little bit, and hopefully they can.
Well, I think sometimes you get a natural burst when you have
you
have a new manager. It happened when Rob Thompson took over from Girardi. All of a sudden, there's an initial energy and a new voice, and the players kind of feel, maybe they feel guilty for getting Girardi fired at the time, and they got a different voice and they want to impress and this and that. And all of a sudden, boom, they go on a run, which happened. Same thing. For some reason, the players got lethargic and they were making mental errors. And they weren't performing up to standards. And, I hate to say it, but poor Rob got, fired because of that, because of the players' inability to keep going.
My mother-in-law is still upset with the whole Phillies team because she loved Rob Thompson.
Well, I love Rob Thompson, and I was upset. And I didn't like the comments. We were waiting to see what's going to happen. Well, don't wait. You can affect Rob Thompson by playing better, right? And then Rob stays long. But I think you get a natural boost when Mattingly comes in, they get the natural boost, and he's talking about fundamentals, which is and he changes some things as far as how they practice and do all that. Also didn't like the comments when people said, especially Castellanos on his way out, where he said, about Rob Thompson, it's tough to listen to somebody that he basically was implying it's tough to listen to somebody
who wasn't a player,
who didn't play in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Well, that's completely unfair. There are so many good coaches and managers in not just baseball, but other sports that are phenomenal coaches or managers that didn't play. I mean, Tommy Lasorda was not a player for the most part. Dallas Green was not he played, but he wasn't a star player. Like some of the best managers, Terry Francona was a great college player, but injuries derailed his pro career. And look at Terry Francona's going into the Hall of Fame at some point.
I mean, that was just Casty with sour grapes, I think.
I think it was sour grapes is the way that, he thought he should, he thought he had the right to start every game, even no matter his performance.
He was just shaking his fist as he left because he was upset.
Wow.
I mean, to your point, just by example, we have an Eagles coach. He's a great coach. Okay. Everybody thinks that he was right coach for the Eagles and so forth for the most part. He played D3 ball.
Right.
He didn't play D1 ball.
Right.
That didn't make him a bad coach. There's a lot of people that know how to play golf and can teach you golf, but they can't play themselves. Not well. But they can tell you
or they can play and they can't teach. So it's like Mike Schmidt wouldn't make a good manager because, I guess I can't prove that, but sometimes when things come to you so naturally, it's tough to kind of explain. And if you didn't go through the grind, some of the best managers, coaches are guys that had to work 5 times as hard to get to where they were.
Absolutely.
Right. And they had to go through that grind. So, yeah.
You guys got any advice for a fledgling fantasy football person? My first time ever. I'm thinking about it.
Is that right?
I'm getting into a fantasy football league.
I was thinking about getting out for the first time.
First time
in a long time.
Yeah, I decided never to join, but go ahead.
Well, first of all,
that was my approach before, but they pulled me in.
I can tell you, just you better have time on your hands because if you want to be successful, you have to know who the third running back is on the Chargers. You know what I mean? You have to know because there's gonna be injuries, and then the person that's well versed is gonna be swooping in on the waiver wire and picking up that. You have to know the rookies and who's and have a feel for who could break out. The draft is very important.
That's going to be tough. That's
Wait,
not me.
That's a lot of time.
And it's a time because I'm telling you the draft too. Because when you're doing the draft, you got to look what other teams are doing. So all of a sudden, if there's a big quarterback run, you don't have a quarterback. Well, then you have 2 options. Do you want to get a quarterback? Just get a quarterback because you're panicking that they're all gone, or do you just say, you know what? I'll be not as good at quarterback, but while these guys are getting quarterbacks, I'm loading up on running backs and receivers.
Like I'm thinking, can you just get an all kicker team?
No.
They score a lot of points.
No, not. You will not, unless you just want to donate money. All right. So,
well, I'm trying to figure out how much I want to put the time in and how much I just want to have fun. But any Eagles guys who would be, I don't know, like sleeper picks in the draft for you? I mean, Saquon. I think he's due to have another big season. Like if you look at the ebb and flow last year, I think he had a little bit of a letdown because of the load that he carried the previous season
and the offensive line injuries.
Right.
I think you got to look at the offensive line, see how healthy they are. And
that's true.
Before you do that, I would, Devontae Smith might go higher than normal because he's now number 1. But he's gonna draw the top cornerback, which before, AJ Brown might have gotten that top cornerback.
Right.
So, but can he? He seems to be able to get up no matter who he faces. So, do you roll the? If you roll the dice on Lemon, right? But
it's gonna mess up my whole football season.
You can't do it too quick.
It's gonna.
I purposely I told the guys that I'm not doing it this year because I was in a Phillies league, and I'm not there anymore. And I was just over there doing a podcast, and they guilted me to back in. I haven't committed fully, but it's kind of your whole Sunday kind of gets ruined because you're looking at your phone the whole time and trying to figure out, does Herbert have 300 yards? Does some random guy from the Raiders have 5 catches?
I'm looking forward to that.
Wow, it's gonna you'll just be prepared to get in fights with your wife.
Yeah, I was always the guy that was sitting there. I have a favorite team, and I love college ball as well, so I follow a couple of college teams, and it's too much time. It really is. For me anyway, do that kind of research in detail. To John's point. So
guys, when you look at the NFC East this year, how do you think things are going to play out? I mean, I still like the Eagles as a very strong favorite in that mix right now. Cowboys always are like a threatening storm that somehow just seems to pass and not really.
The Cowboys are like the Mets. They got like these big name people, but the team doesn't. They're not a team. You know what I mean? They have big name players,
Right.
but they just.
Well, that's because it's under one owner, so
I guess,
that's part of the problem. Who happens to share the same last name as me? No relation.
Right.
I got to tell you, I think the Eagles are definitely going to be a contender, but I also think that the surprise team might be the Giants this year. With some of the changes that they made and so forth. I think that they're due. And
I still don't trust their quarterback. I don't know. I just
didn't like the last one either.
Well, and their big running back who got hurt last year, who was on my fantasy team, Scattaboo, just did a backflip that wasn't didn't make the coach very happy. Harbaugh. They got a good coach now.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, I like that move. That's definitely
Giants could be a sleeper team with.
I see John Harbaugh as building a program, and that doesn't happen in year one.
Right.
No.
But they have pieces. They've got a lot of pieces. Right. Redskins, who knows? It all depends on, Jaden Daniels, how if he can come back. He's coming off an injury-laden year. They've got Terry McLaurin, and they got some pieces, but they're not, they don't have a dynamic running back room. They don't have, I think their defense is not as good. So I think it's Eagles to lose.
After that run a couple of years ago, it kind of turned out that the Redskins didn't have a future, it seemed like. And they were building for that year. And then injuries to Jaden Daniels also undermined everything. But I like Eagles as a good favorite here for the NFC East. And any like Super Bowl picks, like any team that you really see as
that's pretty early right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really early, but going back to the Eagles, we haven't talked about the defense. I mean, the defense, I think they should be improved. You got, one more year of these young defensive backs, right? You've got they picked up some good edge rushers. Jalen Carter, it's gonna be that's kind of the key. Jalen Carter is looking for a contract. I could see, him holding out training camp. I could see him kind of becoming a problem if they don't sign him in the next, couple weeks, because if he holds out and he becomes a problem, but he's also one of these guys that, he's up and down. When he's up, he is one of the scariest, linemen in the NFL, but he can also take a lot of games off. So do you commit that much money to a guy? You just did that to Jordan Davis. Do you commit that much money to Jalen Carter when you know that all of a sudden now he gets guaranteed money? Is that up and down going to be make it even worse, or is it going to somehow, make him a better player?
Go ahead. What do you think?
I don't know. I just like that right now. Defensive tackle feels like a strength on this team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And to go backwards from that would be a mistake. And those two guys, they're coming along. They're still developing as NFL players. And Carter, like you said, you see the highs and lows, the ups and downs. But as he continues to develop, I think he's working his way into a more professional mindset. And that's what you get when you're in the locker room, because your teammates, I think there's a lot of mentorship at the NFL level, and guys, they want to make sure that the young players are doing the right things, investing their money, not getting crazy. And so that is like a constant drumbeat. And ultimately, guys will get in line because you have a lot of other, big personalities and high-profile athletes that they look up to. So I see that it's going to work out for the Eagles with Jalen Carter. Stick with him. And
you're saying they'll sign him?
Yes.
An extension. Do you see
think
that?
You have to. I think you have to. I mean, they're the strength, obviously, of that defensive line, and one of the best defensive lines, in my opinion, in the league for sure. I think that we get back to the same question. How do you make sure that you get the best performance out of your best players on a regular basis? It's not by not recognizing their efforts, especially when you've got the adjacent lineman that's been given that contract right now. If you're going to make a decision where you're not going to bring him back and you're not going to pay him that kind of money, then you probably should be thinking about a trade, because he's not going to play for you. I mean, yes, he's a professional. Yes, he's going to do good.
Exactly right.
That, but he's not going to put it in there.
Yeah, and they're going to have to pay. You also have to think about down the road too, that Cooper DeJean is up for pay raise, and the other, why am I blanking on the other kid out of Toledo, or the kid out of the other defensive back? Whatever. I mean, you're going to have to pay him too.
Not Quinion.
Quinion, yeah.
Yeah, that's
so Mitch. You're gonna have
sorry,
to,
I'm
no, it's all right.
You're
going to have to pay Quinion. You're going to have to, Cooper DeJean at some point. You know what I mean? So you got to. I'm sure Howie's kind of good, but you're right.
Different position.
A lot of tough calls, and you do have to make tough choices to make it all fit together. But I just think like there's an element of Carter where you almost lean into a defensive player who sometimes has some things that seem to be misfiring upstairs, and maybe some emotional stuff that there might be some baggage there, and brings that type of attitude onto the field, is able to flip that switch and become a different player.
Yeah,
and you
keep
look
that switch on.
Well, you look at how that switch had him react to Dak Prescott in that moment. That was very unfortunate, and you want to make sure that he's he doesn't quite cross that line, but you want your defensive guys to be right up against that line of aggression, violence, and he brings that. I love that.
Well, look what he did against the Rams, right? When the key moments. So, I mean, he's a disruptor. He's a game changer. He's a guy that you hate to see him get away. If we don't sign him to an extension, and God forbid he goes to the Redskins or Giants or Cowboys or Packers or any team really that we're going to be facing, you don't want to be facing that person down there.
So you see an extension then as well.
I think you almost have to, but you're doing it with you're holding your breath. You're just hoping that he can sustain, become more consistent, and you hope that he's not the type that once they get their money, then they're I did it.
And that's where the team captains come into play.
Yeah.
And that's that drum beat, where in the locker room, guys are holding you
accountable
to a certain level.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we are nearing the top of the hour here. And as we've been saying, we're going to be joined by a Flyers legend coming up here on All In. We're at the Mt Airy Casino Resort and Spa, and we got Joe Watson waiting in the wings. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. But this is a great spot, entertainment, dining, they've got it all.
Well, if you're looking for the ultimate night out, the stage is heating up at Mt Airy Casino Resort, and you do not want to miss what's coming next on Saturday, August 8th. Sing along to the iconic hits, costumes, and piano magic of Lee Alverson's Elton John tribute. Then on Saturday, September 12th, feel the power of classic rock with For Peace of Mind, delivering the ultimate tribute to Foreigner. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, we are coming right back to Mt Airy Casino Resort. Big thanks to Ben Jones, CEO of, we didn't talk about BCWSA Utility Services. Anything new to touch on before we let you go?
Actually, we've been focusing on, I should say Lee's been focusing on. Hi, Lee. How are you? Good to see you. The turnkey operations that we're trying to do. So we've been trying to reach out to entities like HOAs, municipalities that don't want to sell their system, but really can't afford to continue to maintain their system. So we're offering those services to those folks, and he's doing pretty well.
Anybody, BCWSA website to kind of get in touch with Lee, contact info, all that stuff?
Sure, www.bcwsa.net, and then it would be Lee Alexander when you look up the emails.
All right, good stuff.
All right.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Ben.
it.
All right.
All right, we'll be right back to All In.
At Penn Community Bank, we're your financial partner for all of life's moments. Our checking accounts are designed with you in mind, providing convenient access and 5-star mobile and online banking services to help you achieve your goals. Right now, you can earn a $350 cash bonus for opening a qualifying new checking account with direct deposits in the first 60 days. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/cash bonus to learn more. Penn Community Bank, here we grow. Offer terms and conditions apply. Limited time offers subject to change. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. As the weather warms up, BCWSA Utility Services reminds you to be mindful of water use. Water lawns early in the morning or later in the evening to reduce evaporation. Fix leaky outdoor faucets and use a broom instead of a hose to clean driveways and sidewalks. A few simple changes can help conserve water all season. Visit bcwsa.net for more seasonal water-saving tips. BCWSA Utility Services.
Here at the Mt Airy Casino Resort and Spa, it's all in on WBCB. We get Joe situated. There you go. That's right. There you go. Yeah. Push that.
Oh boy, that's loud.
Push that mic up a little bit. Get that adjusted. Let's talk some Flyers hockey here on All In. What'd you think, Joe, of the Flyers getting back to the postseason last year? It was pretty awesome to see some playoff hockey back with the orange and black.
It was exciting. And you know, when you look at the Flyers, they're young, inexperienced, but hard work overcomes inexperience a lot of times, you know. And when they played the Carolina, obviously they won the Stanley Cup. The Flyers played them 8 times this past year. 4 in the regular season, 4 in the playoffs, and 6 of the 8 games went to overtime. So I go to show you the Flyers are not that far off. And those 8 games, I mean, the Flyers could have won 2 or 3 of them, but you know, unfortunately they didn't. And but it goes to show you that the Flyers are heading in the right direction, and they have a lot of good quality young players and a pretty good, strong farm system now. And it's just a matter of time when they hopefully win one of these.
Yeah. And that was fun watching a lot of the younger players. I'll even put Zegras in there, and you saw Alex Bump, and you saw Barkey, and you saw obviously Porter Martone. You know, seeing some of these young guys not just get playing time, but contributing.
Yeah.
Right. So the future does look really bright.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at it, and there's some guys that haven't even really come up, you know, Oliver Bonk and some other guys. So it's going to be pretty exciting times.
Well, you know, just think if we had Carlson.
Yeah. Right.
Oh,
right.
Oh my God.
But I love that move. I love that aggressive move.
You know what? I go to show you Flyers are serious and the fans are excited about it. Even though we didn't get them, they're excited. And I can see Flyers doing something before the season starts. There's still some pretty good players out there that are, you know, the 28, 29-year-old guys. They can sign them for a couple of years and have some leadership qualities. They do have, and there's good players available. So I hope that I think they will get a couple more players.
But I like how we're developing, again, the young players, and then you bring them up, and then that's when you can add the veterans, as opposed to, I just feel like sometimes in the past, I feel like we've gotten these names that are name players that had success before, but it wasn't mixing with, you know, the team wasn't rising at the same time.
No, you're absolutely
right.
So,
I mean, you guys, look at your team, the Flyers way back when, you guys all kind of came up, right? And then you added some missing pieces, and then boom, you guys won 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Chris, you got to hear these stories. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask Joe. So Joe, I've had you on our radio show several times.
Yeah.
Had you on our podcast. We're good friends. I love the story. Tell the audience. You grew up in Smithers. Now, Smithers,
Yeah.
for those that don't know, British Columbia, but it's not anywhere near Vancouver. It's way up there.
It's 800 miles north.
Yeah, and you have a golf tournament every year.
Yeah.
And fishing,
Yeah.
and you bring a bunch of people up there to go to Smithers.
Yeah.
I heard Rob Thompson might be coming up.
Rob's coming
this year.
up
Is that
this
right?
year. Isn't that nice? He's all excited too, Rob.
And so you have baseball players, mostly hockey players, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds a lot of fun. But you grew up in Smithers. Now you grew up in a farm, right? And you guys had a farm. You lived in the town of Smithers, but you also had a farm.
Yeah.
But you had a bunch of brothers. Talk about how you guys built a rink out there, and talk about what you used for equipment, what you used for the puck.
Well, equipment, we couldn't afford shin pads. And there was Eaton's catalog came out every
like the
Christmas. Sears, Eaton's catalog came out from Toronto. It was a catalog pretty thick. So what we used to do is put those around our legs and tie a rope around them or string or whatever and keep them in place. And we go out there and block shots with our catalogs on our knees. But
also
and then for pucks.
Yeah, for pucks.
They probably work. Those catalogs probably work better than some shin pads.
Yeah, probably do.
That's a pretty good protection there.
You're right. And then pucks, we couldn't afford pucks because they were 10 cents a piece. So
they get lost in the snowbank.
Yeah,
and you couldn't find them.
That's true. So what we did, we had horses in our farm, and we used to use a horse herd for pucks, and that worked out very well. It really did. And when I used to get Christmas came once a year, and my mom or dad would get me a hockey stick. They were $1.25 at the time. And when you play hockey, sometimes you have a tendency to break a stick or whatever, or a blade. And I used to get nails, nails them back together, the sticks back together. And it worked out well. Holy God. But,
well, I love that. Cow pie hockey.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, those horse turds hurt, or the cow turds hurt sometimes. You get hit.
Just hurt your feelings. That's
Now also, so here you are, Smithers, and then you're 16 years old, and you were one of like 120 players trying out for a spot for a team in Saskatchewan, right?
Yeah.
And so you were the one that got picked. You go to Saskatchewan. You're 16 years old, right?
Yeah.
So at a young age, how was that pretty tough? Kind of moving away.
Well,
from
you
home
know what? I was happy because I wasn't a good student in school. I could care less about school. My ultimate goal was to hopefully become a professional athlete, and I got scouted in 1960, and I got invited to Estevan, Saskatchewan, to try out for a junior A hockey team. And I'm the youngest guy in camp there, and when I got there, was 104 guys trying out for 4 positions in the team, and I go to the scout that invited me. I said, why the hell did you invite me something like this? All these guys are trying out. I'm doing the same thing. He said, Joey, he pointed at me right in my chest. He says, if I didn't get a chance, I wouldn't have invited you. I said, holy shoot. So I said to myself, he really believes in me and everything else. And so, you have 4 days to catch their eye. And so I got 3 or 4 fisticuffs, won a couple, lost a couple. And 5 days later, they break the team up and everything else. And they said that they want to keep me around. I was the youngest guy in the team, and so I learned a lot by playing with veterans, and I got a chance to play some games with a young guy. I was the youngest guy in the team, like I mentioned, and I got a chance to play, and I did pretty well. And
you get drafted by the Bruins, right? You get drafted by the Bruins.
Well, Bruins were the Bruins were a farm team. The Estevan Bruins were farm team.
We're a farm team of that.
Boston, yeah. So in a way, I played the first year there. Second year, I did very well and made the All-Star team. And the third year, I did also. And then I turned pro at 19 or 20, and we were owned by the Boston Bruins, so they called me in. In Estevan, they called me in. They signed me to a contract. They gave me $150 a month. And $120 went for room and board, and I got $30 to spend. And I'm living high off the hog, man. This is great.
A lot of Baba Louie's there, right?
Yeah, a lot of Baba Louie's, yeah. And then when I turned pro in Minneapolis in '63, I got a $3,000 contract. I'm making $218 every 2 weeks, and And again, I thought, oh, this is great.
Yeah,
Holy
you
Christ,
got it
I'm making
made.
a living, making a living doing this. And then I turned pro with Boston in 60. I turned NHL, and in 66 with Bobby Orr, I got
And
7,500.
were you guys paired together?
Yeah, we
the
played
same-
a lot together. Yeah, we were two young
Wow.
guys. I was 23 then, and he was 18.
And that's a perfect pairing too, because you had a stay at home guy.
Yeah.
Right. And then you had the
offensive
guy.
Yeah, yeah, that worked out well, and we lived together too. So we're the only two single guys in the team. So we did well for ourselves.
Do you still stay in touch with Bobby?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Has he ever come out to Smithers?
Oh yeah, he was my best man in my first marriage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my first one. Yeah.
Well, then 67 happens. You know what happens in 67, right?
Drafted.
Well, the expansion
Flyers
draft
start.
takes place.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
Joe gets picked.
Oh God.
One of the first guys. So, what was your thoughts when you got picked in the expansion team, this brand new team, the Philadelphia Flyers? Here you are paired with Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
With it, one of the original 6 teams, the Bruins.
Yeah.
And then you're going to this brand new team. What were your thoughts?
Disappointment.
Did you know anything about Philadelphia?
The only thing I knew about Johnny Carlson hit a home run in the All-Star game in 1964.
Yep.
60. That's the only, and I got to meet Johnny Carlson.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I told him the story, but anyway, disappointment galore. We had training camp up in Quebec City, and then we came down to Philadelphia, and I'm very inquisitive. I sit in the front of the bus. We're coming over the old Penrose Avenue Bridge, and I looked off on the right-hand side. I said, "What's that machine doing?" It was our bus driver said, "Oh," he says, "the mafia owned that." I said, "Oh yeah, okay." He said, "What they do is they get rid of bodies and car parts, and they grind them together. They put them in the cars together." what are you talking about?
Wow.
I didn't understand that.
Welcome to Philly.
Oh my God Almighty! Yeah, that was my introduction to Philadelphia. Holy mackerel! And then the mayor, James Tate, was the mayor at the time, and he wanted to have a parade down Broad Street to welcome the city. And we're marching down Broad Street. There are more people in the parade that are watching it. What the hell?
Hey Joe, when you look back at you make the NFL, your brother makes the NFL,
NHL,
NHL, win a Stanley Cup. Your brother wins a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Is there something about your family, about your upbringing that you look back at that allowed you guys to be successful? I mean, a tryout, 100 guys are there, only 4 are picked. You're one of those guys.
Yeah.
Was there something about that, those formative years, or something in your family that?
Well, I realized that in life you gotta work to get whatever you're looking for, and I realized I wasn't going to be a student or an excellent student, and my way was through sports. And I played a lot of baseball, and I had an opportunity in baseball too. But I'm glad I chose hockey. Baseball, there's too many Americans, good Americans. I told a scout from the Yankees, I said, there was too many Americans play baseball because there's no way. He says, well, what happened was we were in Seattle in the senior baseball championships. And this scout, it was 1961, this scout from Seattle came up and watched the series, or watched the tournament. And we went to finals and we got beat. And then this guy come and introduced himself after we got beat, and said his name was Eddie Taylor. Eddie Taylor, a scout from Seattle, or for the Yankee, but from Seattle. And he says, "Well, son, you have a good chance. You're a good ball player. The way you hit the ball, you have a chance." And I said, "No, I don't think I do. There's just too many Americans play baseball." And he says, "Well, I know. I've done a lot of scouting, and you have a chance." And I says, "Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I got to go to Saskatchewan for a tryout, and if I don't make it, I'll call you." I never called him in that.
Yeah, right. You made it.
I never called him.
And what position were you?
Well, I played center field. I did some pitching and first baseman. Yeah.
So if you went on the pro route, would you have stuck at pitching or center field?
No, I think center field.
Center field. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then he gets drafted. Expansion draft 67.
Yeah.
And then who would have thought, all of a sudden, then you get into you guys pick up Bernie at some point. Well, you and Bernie probably were
Bernie
teammates with Boston too, right?
Yeah, we were. You're right. We were. Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, as I was saying, with any team, you build up this nucleus and you acquire some guys, right? You get Rick McLeish and you get all these different parts. And next thing you know, you guys took the city by storm, 74-75, right? Was it? Or is it 73-74?
No, 73.
73-74 is your first one.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, did you guys realize before that season that there's a chance that you could bring a Stanley Cup home? I mean, did you guys think you were that good?
No. What made us good was our coach, Shiro, gave us a system to abide by it. There were 4 ways to get out of our own zone, and we used to practice 35 to 40 minutes pretty well every day in our own zone. And least amount of time you spend in your own zone, you're going to be successful. So we didn't spend a lot of time there. And of course, then we had Bernie, but Bernie really didn't excel until Jacques Plante came in.
Right, that was his boyhood idol.
Yeah, and they brought Jacques Plante in to teach him the angles. And Jacques would bring the rope out on the ice, and Bernie wasn't allowed to go outside those ropes. If he did that, mean he didn't have the right angle on the puck. And so that helped Bernie tremendously. But, getting Bobby Clark, drafting Bobby Clark, a second-round pick, for God's sake. And to see the guy the way he was, a diabetic, he takes his stuff every day and everything else. And to see what he had to go through, and he only maybe 172, 175 pounds, Clark, but Clark played like he was 210 pounds. He was tough rascal, man. Oh my God Almighty! But he was our leader. And then, we realized in order to be successful, we had to be tough. So they go out and draft Dave Schultz, Selesky. They get Andre Dupont. We already had Van Imp. We had Barry Ashby, and
Bob Kelly was
there. And so we got tough and everything else. And Freddie used to always say, "Boys, anybody can lose, but not anybody can win.
Right.
It takes a special breed to win." And we used to always say we're a special breed, and that's why it had a lot to do with our success.
And the Bruins were tough too. So you weren't the only tough team, but you guys that became your system.
Yeah.
Right.
It was really tough. It was a tough series. I remember Christ Almighty. we went 6 games with them, but not every game, but we had two or three overtime games in that series against Boston, and we hadn't won in Boston in 7 years when we played them in '73. We hadn't won in 7 years, and Freddie Shiro made the statement in the paper, said this is anticlimactic. We just beat a better team that gets the finals, and we're going to play for the final of the Stanley Cup. And I go to Freddie, he said, "Freddie, how the hell can you say that?" He said, "Joe, we're not showing them any respect.
Right.
We're going right after them." And we went right after them, and Freddie said, "What we're going to do, the unwritten rules, never shoot the puck in Orr's corner." But we went and shot the puck in Orr's corner all series. And when every time he touched the puck, we get in his way, make him exert some energy. And he did. He dominated for the first 3 or 4 games. The last couple of games, he was tired.
So you're doing the little rope-a-dope.
Huh?
You're doing the rope-a-dope, like Muhammad Ali. Get him tired, and then get him at the end.
And so the thinking was that if you put it in Orr's corner, he can control the play.
Yeah, he's going to work, and they're going to tire him out.
But we're going to wear him out. We're going to hit him and get him and get on him, and it worked out well. The unwritten rules never to shoot the puck in his corner, but we did that, and that was Freddie's idea.
I remember when I was younger, and I grew up in a hockey family, and we're all listening to watching the game. And I remember Bobby Orr gets a penalty in game. It was 6-game series, right?
Yeah.
So in game 6,
you
guys are winning 1-0.
Yeah.
And Bobby Orr gets a penalty with 2 minutes 21 seconds left
with Clarkie.
Right.
Yeah, with Clarkie.
Right. And
Clarkie took him off the ice.
And I remember going to my dad, all they have to do is, you assume they're going to kill, they're not going to score a short-handed goal. All they have to do is they got to score an even man goal in 21 seconds. Like, the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup. And literally then, however many minutes later, Gene Hart is saying, the Flyers have won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And we got the album. I went to the parade. I mean, that was awesome. And that, I got to tell you, Joe, you guys started the trend because my brother, when you guys, the expansion, my older brother played Little Flyers, and he played hockey. And I think rinks started cropping up around the Delaware Valley. But you guys are a direct effect of that, of getting hockey, the interest in hockey. It went from 0 to 60 very fast. You know what I mean? And so you guys literally, you can almost take pride in the fact that, hockey's big in this area because, if you guys weren't around or if you guys didn't have that early success, then ice hockey might not have been that big.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You're right. You know what? The Broad Street Bullies are an iconic name. and an iconic team. They
Mhm.
really are. They're known all over the world. And I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine just came back from Prague here a while back, and he gets in the gets in a cab, and the cabbie asks him where he's from. He says Philadelphia, and the guy says home of the Bullies.
Yeah.
He says what? Home of the Bullies? Jesus,
Yeah.
he's a big fan of Prague, Czechoslovakia.
That's awesome.
And then when we went to Russia 8 years ago. All the Russians want to do is talk about how we dismantled the Soviet Red Army team in 1976. Now they got a movie out. They got
Right.
a documentary out on it and everything else. It's incredible. It's a hell of a documentary.
Do you get disappointed that the toughness is not as much a part of the NFL? Oh, this would be the NHL.
NHL. Keep wanting to say NFL.
I know.
Well,
that time it was on purpose.
You know what? The game has changed. The game is very finesse now. There's a lot of finesse in the game opposed to when we played. It was brawny. It was brawn. There was a lot of brawn in hockey.
A lot of skill and speed now.
And, yeah, is there ever? And these guys are, oh my God, they go 30 miles an hour. I mean, our top speed was 18, 20 miles an hour. These guys are going 30 miles an hour. Incredible. Jesus God, there's only maybe 3 or 4 guys that could have skated with him. One would be Orr.
So you just look at it as a totally different game today.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
Played different.
Let's go back to that movie because I know that you've done a lot of screenings.
Yeah.
So I know it's Dan Majani, who's Payroll Service Solutions, who's sponsored our shows throughout the years.
Yeah.
His son was very involved.
Yes, he was.
And but it was an unbelievable documentary, which I haven't seen the full showing. Dan sent it to me, and I'm going to watch it at some point. I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
But how's the reception been? You guys have been going all over Delaware Valley. And different flyers have been showing up. You, your brother, a bunch of guys at some of these showings.
Yeah.
How's the reception been?
Incredible.
Very good.
Incredible. Yeah. All they wanted, you know what? People, a lot of, not a lot, but there's some people show up. They're younger, and they didn't realize, the impact the Flyers made in hockey and what they did for hockey. If Flyers hadn't have won that game, it would have looked bad for the National Hockey League,
right?
Because they beat all the top teams in the league, for Christ's sake, and we had to pull the prestige of hockey. In North America, we had to win. And I never realized how much pressure there was until Saturday morning. The Russians practiced on a Saturday in the Spectrum. And then we went out and we were going to go out and practice. And I watched them in their practice and we watched them. And I said to Freddie, we can't do what the things they're doing. They're going to sit there and watch and see what we're doing and everything else. So Freddie said, to hell with it. Just go out there and fool around. And that's what we did. And then they had the banquet in the banquet in the Ovations Club there. And they started introducing the Russians. They're getting light applauses. And then they started introducing the Flyers when they come to number 8, Dave Schultz. Right. The Russians were looking around. Where is this guy?
He's like the boogeyman.
Then we knew that they were nervous. They were nervous.
Right. It's like in Slapshot. There, he's like Ogie Oglethorpe. Remember Slapshot? Ogie Oglethorpe just gets out of prison.
Yeah.
So, and you're right. So, because they had beat everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And then. Did they play you guys in a scrimmage at some point or not?
No.
They hadn't played you at all.
No.
All right. So then you were I think you were the last team that they played, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that documentary, Cold War in Philly.
War in Philly.
That's it. And you know what? You can watch it. You can watch it now on your local TV. You can watch it.
Yeah.
Probably get it on my phone here, probably.
I'm telling you, again, I saw the preview and I can't wait to watch it. So anyway, Chris, you're too young to remember, but the Russians came out. And they, would do they're great skaters and they basically but they're used to a bigger ice and they would just kind of skate. It's all possession. It's almost like the Spanish playing soccer. They don't let the other team have the puck. Well, these guys basically wouldn't even let them get into the offensive zone, right?
Well, you know what we did? Freddie devised a system where he wanted the defense to stand up at center ice, between the center ice and the blue line, and the forwards drop in behind. So try to throw them off stride as they're coming down with the puck. And then we'd catch them going one way, we'd be going the other way with a team, and we outshot them 49-13. And if Tretiak hadn't have played well, Craig, we would have won the goddamn game 10-1.
When I hear from you guys, whether we're doing On the Ice on WBCB or we're doing our Snow the Goalie show, I hear so much praise for Fred Shiro. Yeah. He really was ahead of his time. I mean, they talk about how he would do. He had assistant coaches. Nobody had assistant coaches.
Right.
He did video. Nobody did video.
He went over to Russia to learn their system and brought a lot of that back to North America.
Very true. That's very true. Yes, he did.
I mean, it really was his genius that was a big deciding difference maker for you guys.
Yeah, it really was.
And he got mugged in Atlanta.
Yeah, we're in the playoff. We're in the playoff.
You didn't know this?
No.
Tell
the same year we won the cup. we were in Atlanta there, and we're up 3-0 in the series. Now we had to play Atlanta on a Saturday, Sunday. So Freddie went out, and he had some Bubba Louie's, and he came back to his room. I guess he had somebody come back with him, a guy that he met there in the bar, and then we had a meeting. Supposed to have an 11 o'clock meeting in the morning. We go to his room. The room is upside down.
Oh, no.
There's furniture all over the place with blood on the floor.
Oh, no.
So Freddie couldn't coach that game. He couldn't. He was beat up so bad.
Jeez. Don't hit a guy with glasses.
He got mugged. Yeah. Well, then also going back to the Russian game. So in the beginning, you'll if you see the movie, you'll know that in the very beginning, Ed Van Impe laid one of the players out.
Karmelov, the best player,
They laid him out, and the Russians basically skated off the ice. They refused to play the game, and Ed Snyder, to his credit, went into the locker room and said he was pissed, and he said, "If you guys don't get out there, we're not paying you."
Yeah.
And that was enough for them to be like, "Ooh."
I'm surprised that motivated communists.
But you know what the Russians.
It's the first time experiencing capitalism.
You know what the Russians would do when they come over here to play games? They never bought any equipment. So in order to play these games, that means these sponsors had to get the equipment,
everything.
Had to buy everything for them, giving all new stuff and everything. Then they take the stuff back to Russia and sell it on the black market. That's what they did. And they would take towels and the soap and everything else. Everything.
Get a couple extra pair of blue jeans.
Yeah, they got a lot of blue jeans.
Yep.
They'd buy blue jeans galore and then sell them over there. You're right. Holy mackerel. Yeah. But they were, when we went to Russia here 9 years ago, we played in Russia, and I took our alumni over there, and I got interviewed a lot because I was the only player that played in that game against them. And they only had 2 of their players left that are still alive, and we had about 12 or 13 of our guys. And I got interviewed a lot about it. They could not believe how we dismantled the Soviet Red Army team, because they were the best team in Europe, and we were the best team in America, North America at the time. But they were very, very, very upset. They could not believe it. We beat them.
Hey, we should step aside here just briefly, real quick. We were talking earlier about World Cup soccer, and that tournament, and wanted to get your reaction to some of the.
We can do that on the other side.
Yeah.
All right, before we do that, ready for a getaway where you can be extraordinary, escape to the Pocono Mountains, and the ultimate luxury of Mt Airy Casino Resort, Pennsylvania's first AAA 4-diamond casino resort. Hit the floor for nonstop gaming action. Feel the rush of the floor with 1,700 slots, over 70 table games. Whether you're here for the high-stakes thrills, the ultimate relaxation, your perfect escape is waiting. Find your flavor, find your luck, find your luxury at Mt Airy Casino Resort. Book your experience now at MountAiryCasino.com. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Good deal, boys.
Of life's moments. Our checking accounts are designed with you in mind, providing convenient access and 5-star mobile and online banking services to help you achieve your goals. Right now, you can earn a $350 cash bonus for opening a qualifying new checking account with direct deposits in the first 60 days. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/cash bonus to learn more. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Offer terms and conditions apply. Limited time offers subject to change. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Hey, WBCB listeners, it's Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Reliable water service doesn't happen by accident. It takes ongoing investments to help deliver clean water and manage wastewater every day. BCWSA Utility Services continues to upgrade and modernize its treatment facilities to strengthen infrastructure throughout Bucks County. These improvements help ensure safe, dependable service for families, businesses, and communities. Learn more about BCWSA's investments at bcwsa.net. BCWSA Utility Services.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
We're back. All in from the Mt Airy Casino Resort and Spa here in the Poconos. Chris Ermer with John Brazer, Fun and Games man John Brazer, and Joe Watson, our special guest, talking a little Flyers hockey, talking a little World Cup. Did you catch some of the soccer, some of the football, Joe?
You know what? I watched some of the game, but I couldn't watch the whole damn thing. Or, you know what? The contact they had there. Oh my God, the acting. They could be big in Hollywood. A lot of those guys.
I knew you were going to have that answer.
Oh my God.
We were talking about it earlier. I said I can't wait till Joe comes on because I got to get his take on that. You're right.
What bothers me is they go up the field and they say, "Oh hell, there's not a good scoring position. We're not going to be a good scoring chance, so we'll go back."
Right.
Jesus Christ!
Right.
You sit there for 10 minutes waiting for a shot, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And oh boy.
Well, okay, and Chris, you got to understand. So I asked Joe, I said, who is the toughest Flyer, right, ever, right? And you would think it would be Dave Schultz, right? Bob Kelly, could be a lot of guys. Right. But Joe told me Rick McLeish. Why was Rick McLeish? What story?
No, he wasn't the toughest guy.
I know, but you said, give me the story, why Rick McLeish might be. Remember, he got.
Oh, God almighty. We're in L.A., eh? And we're playing, and we had the doc. Thank God we had our doctors with us on this trip, because whenever we went out west, doctors would come out for a holiday. So we're playing in L.A., and McLeish got cut here for 200 stitches right here.
Ear to ear.
Here.
Wow.
And almost bled to death.
Yeah.
Almost bled to death. Thank God we had our doctors there, because the doctors went down to that medical room and helped stitch him up and everything else.
Probably just missed his jugular vein.
Oh, God, it was crazy.
Jeez.
So what happened? We go to this bar, AC Lindell in LA, and we're in there, and we're drinking. Ricky's drinking, he's smoking. The freaking smoke's coming out the side.
Smoke's coming out the stitches, right? Now again, contrast that with soccer players, right? The soccer player gets a knee brushed by their arm, and they're crying like their arm's going to be falling off, and then Rick McLeish basically gets it stitched up that day and is out drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, and smoke coming out of stitches.
Now, were you watching Team Canada? Or
I didn't. No, I might have saw about 5 minutes of Team Canada. I didn't see a lot of their game. I didn't really see one full game. I saw bits and pieces of this and that and everything else, but you take 10 or 15 minutes to get a shot. Holy Christ. People are paying whatever they're paying, and they're up and down there. And there's acting going on. These guys could all be actors, a lot of them. Holy God, man.
Now, Lee Alexander told me I've got to ask you, which again, I've known you for years, and maybe I just don't know the story. Something about a Snipes story?
Hunt?
Yeah, Snipes.
Oh, the Bob Kelly story.
I guess. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. What is the Bob Kelly story?
Well, the Hound, it was his first year in the league.
Okay.
And,
have you ever been on a snipe hunt, John?
Snipe hunt?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
You go out, you hunt snipe like at night.
Okay.
There's
No?
No, you know what? There's no snipes. They're a fallacy. There's
All right. That's why.
But anyway,
a blank look.
So anyway, Earl Huskella and Ed Van Ipp lined this thing up with the media. It happened in media, and they had this park all set up and everything else. They lined it up with the police, the mayor, and a judge and everything else. Had it all lined up. So there's about 6 or 7 to go, and they had these shotguns,
and it was at dark at night and everything else. And
sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. So
guns,
so
hockey
guys were
players
saying,
drinking.
guys were saying, oh, there's one, and everything else. And the Hound said, oh, I don't see it. And then Earl Husker said, Hound, there's one over here. I could see him. I could hear him in the bush. He says, what? I could hear him. So, so the Hound takes his gun and he shoots this damn thing in the area where Earl High School was. And Earl was, all of a sudden, Earl got hit. Earl got hit. He thinks he got hit.
What?
And he's screaming and hollering. And now they go to court. They go to court there, and the judges there and everything else. And they told the Hound they're gonna put him in jail
For attempted murder.
19 years old, he's going to jail. And the judge told him. And so Earl High School comes into the where this took place, where they're having the court case. And Earl had a big bandage around his leg. It was all full of ketchup.
So he really never got hit. He
Yeah.
really never got hit.
No, he never really
Right.
got hit. No. But the thing is, poor Hound was whiter than hell, and they gave him one call. They gave him one call to make a call.
And who did he call?
He phoned his mom. I want to come home. I want to come home. And it was Toronto was his hometown. Oh my God Almighty!
I've never
Poor
heard that
Hound,
story.
Poor Hound. The poor
Wow.
Hound.
Have you
He
ever
never
been
lived that
invited
down.
on a snipe hunt, John?
No,
No?
now I don't think I'm going to go.
No.
Now, also, Joe, you were nice enough to invite me out to
A game.
alumni.
Some
Why don't you
games?
tell this story
Yeah.
where you invited me to come out
Yeah.
and play with the alumni?
Yeah.
Is John a pretty good player?
Yeah, he
Yeah?
was okay. He
All
was
right.
okay. Yeah. So I was at my brother's rink in Aston, Iceworks, and I'm sitting there waiting for one of my grandchildren, and I'm watching these guys play hockey, and I see this guy out there running around hitting a lot of guys. I said, Jesus Christ, this guy's physical.
See,
We could get him for a couple of games, for God's sake. So I met him after the goddamn game, and I told him, I said, we'd love to have you come out and play with our alumni team. And he said, okay, fine. So he comes out, and I put him with Timmy Kerr, the centerman, and Braces with him, and the score is about 13-1, and Brace scored the 14th goal, and he raised his stick in the air. He was jumping up and down on his skates and everything else. I'm yelling, "What the hell's wrong with you? The score's 14-1. You're going to embarrass the team, for God's sake."
What was the bigger celebration? Me on that goal, or you when you scored the shorthanded goal against Tretiak?
Yeah, your celebration. Oh God, it was funny.
that's awesome to be on a line with Tim Kerr.
Yeah. It was, I got to
pretty
tell
good.
you, that was probably the coolest experience ever playing with these guys, and not just on the ice, but being in the locker room was probably the best, because in between periods, whatever, you sit there and you just sit back and listen to the stories of. I remember hearing Dave Schultz and Frank the Animal Bialois telling stories about fights they had back in the day and what the current players are like now, and like literally, I could have been a fly on the wall for 10 hours listening to those stories.
Yeah. I want to tell you a story about the shorthanded goal. I never got beyond center ice, but it's in this movie too, the Cold War, and the second period, the Russians had a power play on, and I'm watching them make a line change, and nights they're taking their time. So I said, well, hell, I'm going to saunter up the ice with Kinnerchuk and Selesky. So Kinnerchuk takes a shot, and he keeps it nice and low so Tretiak can't control the puck. And I happen to sneak in and up there and put the puck in the net in the backhand and everything else. And I proved one thing, boys: white man can't jump. I was so excited. I jumped about 3 inches off the bloody ice, and that was it. But anyway, these 4 or 5 guys were on the ice. Gene Hart went to Russia,
Siberia, right?
1993, he goes to Russia, and they seen all the sights and sounds of Moscow and everything else, and he decides to go to Siberia. 3-day train ride with his family. He gets up to Siberia, and they're walking around. They see these guys in an old prison, and Gene asked the guard, "How come those guys are in balls and chains?" And the guard says, "Oh, they were on the ice when Joe Watson scored a short-handed goal." So the moral of the story: you don't want to be on when I score a short-handed goal.
And then I don't know if you know this, when the Flyers won the Stanley Cup against Bruins, right? It's 1-0. There's like 10 seconds or 14 seconds left in the game, right? Flyers about to win their first Stanley Cup, and Bobby Orr shoots it down the end of the ice, basically out of desperation, right?
Yeah.
Well, Bernie was looking up at the scoreboard.
Bernie wasn't watching.
Wasn't even looking at the
Thank
puck.
God he missed the bloody net. It was a 180-foot shot.
Could you imagine if that went on net and Bernie's looking up at the scoreboard and it goes in and then they lose that game and lose the series? Bernie would be like, would go from the GOAT greatest ever to the GOAT. To the GOAT.
Oh my God. So anyway, Bernie, I touched the puck, but there was nobody near me. It was 8 seconds to go in the game, and I looked up. I'm not going to touch the puck yet because there's nobody near me because faceoff would have been back in their zone anyway. Well, what happened was the fans realized what was going on, so they all jumped in the bloody ice. And I touched the puck with 4 seconds to go, and Wayne Cashman slid into me, and I called him safe. Oh, was he mad? Was he mad? But anyway, people came over the boards, so we never really got a chance to enjoy the cup on the ice, go skate around the ice because all the fans are on the ice. And
when you're good,
that was pretty. And then the parade,
right?
You know the best part about the parades, boys. Streaking was in, and so you got to use your imagination. Streaking is in. Oh my God, because there was all these things dangling all over.
I mean, when I think about that parade, though, I think about in the mid. It's a moment in time.
Yeah,
and like stuff like that was going on that really gave it the flavor. That, I mean,
and there was no floats, right? It was single cars.
Yeah,
you didn't have floats.
No.
So you had like open air convertibles, and I remember the story that Bernie was in a convertible with Mayor Rizzo.
Yeah,
and Rizzo kept looking up, like way up high, and Bernie said, "What are you doing? What are you looking up there?" He goes, "Looking for snipers." And all of a sudden, Bernie starts getting like, like, oh man,
right?
And then didn't he also go to had to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Like I was on the Phillies float, and we had won the World Series.
Yeah.
And we had porta potties thanks to Dave Montgomery.
Yeah.
We had porta potties on the floats.
Yeah.
But you guys, obviously, if you had to relieve yourselves, then you had to. I know. Didn't Bernie go into someone?
They stopped the parade in South Philly,
and you went into someone's house, right?
Yeah.
And some lady wouldn't let Bernie go into the house, and we weed in the backyard, and she put a little monument out there afterwards.
I heard that they used the toilet and she framed the seat.
She did.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
all right, that's even better than my story.
Yeah.
All right, now Joe, you have a book out, Thundermouth. Ed Van Imp gave you that nickname?
Yeah. What happened was, they built the Spectrum. They had 2 levels. They had the first, second level, and then we started drawing a lot of people. So they built a 3rd level in the Spectrum in '72, and I'm a very boisterous guy and everything else, and try to encourage this and that and keep the guys alive instead of falling asleep at the bench. So after the game, we were walking out, and this guy comes up and he says, "Joe, we heard you in the 3rd level." I said, "What do you mean? We heard you on the ice in the 3rd level." I said, "What?" And he says, "Yeah." And Ed Van Imp was with me, and Ed Van Imp says, "That's what we're going to call you. We're going to call you Thundermouth," and that's where Thundermouth came into play. So the book was out. Yeah, I sold 6,400 books all over the world.
Great.
To fans. I never knew there was hockey in Brazil and Argentina. I didn't know they had hockey in India, of all places. India. I don't know if it was field hockey or hockey, but all these places, Australia, New Zealand, they have hockey over there. So there's a lot of places I didn't know had hockey that they play hockey. And so I have met a lot of people. I had a guy come up there, like I met a guy from Australia and Brazil. And I asked the guy from Brazil, "How in the hell do you guys have hockey over there?" He says, "Oh yeah, we've had hockey for years." And I had no idea. No idea.
I didn't know that either.
No idea. Oh my God. So it was really nice. I met so many fine people all over the world that, I met a lady from Russia, and she was a Mishkov fan, and she flew in a Saturday. She came into a Flyers, played a Saturday afternoon, a game against Chicago. And so I was talking to her, and she says, "Oh, I'm a Mishkov fan and everything else." I said, "Well, I detect an accent." "Yeah, I'm from Moscow." I said, "What?" She flew in from Moscow to watch the game with her daughter. And then she was going to New York and then Boston. She was over here for a week. So I met some fine hockey people from all over the world.
Is the book still in print?
No, I've had enough. I've sold
enough. Wow, look at you. That's great. Congratulations.
I sold them all.
But one thing that last year's show, you talk about hockey people, how this Philly is ready to have a winner back, and they really rallied around this team. And
Did they ever?
They're like they're a sleeping giant that the Flyers finally woke up again. I hope that next year they can get off to a good start because they're going to have the fans with them.
Oh, they ever. And you know the way they're selling the tickets, holy mackerel.
Oh yeah,
and tickets are expensive.
Yeah.
I got two myself, and they're expensive.
I just got a call from the Flyers while we were doing our show, trying to sell me some tickets.
Oh really?
Right?
Yeah,
really?
Like at the beginning of our segment.
Oh
here.
really?
But it's a fun team to watch. I mean,
yeah, they are.
Owen Tippett, I love that one goal he had where he basically passed to himself off the boards. It was in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember? And then he went down the left side and he was kind of fumbling and bumbling, and he looks like he's going to go down on his knees, and he gets himself back up, and then he feeds it over to, who was it? Was it Hathaway or somebody?
Hathaway.
Was it Hathaway?
Yes.
Yes. And so just he has some really. It was a fun team to watch.
Hathaway had an easy goal, but that was an amazing play.
He missed the damn thing. Didn't he miss it? It missed the net, Hathaway, in that, didn't he?
No, this one he scored.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Tippett. I'm pretty sure it was Hathaway. But between watching Tippett and Martone, and again Zegras and some of the other guys, it's a fun team to watch.
Yeah. You know what? If he had Tippett in the series against Carolina,
right,
we would have won 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, that was a big loss.
Tippett, oh my God, was it ever? You know, we had so many guys. One guy was playing with a broken foot, Zegras, freezing his bloody foot up and taping it up, and he's playing the damn thing. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, they had the injury list. They had the injury list afterwards, and it came out in a press release.
Yeah.
And I think there was like 15 guys, and it was, it wasn't just, toe. It was shoulders, it was ribs, it was broken this, and it's amazing that again, hockey players are the toughest. I know, Danny Tartable, when he signed with the Phillies, fouled a ball off his toe, and he was out for the season. Right? I mean, if that's hockey, you're back there the next shift.
You are.
You might miss one shift to get the toe bandaged up.
They'll freeze it up for you, and then you get out there and go, man.
Or they'll cut it off.
Hear about that poor baseball guy who ruptured his sensitive area there?
I did, yeah. Foul balled and went right off his private area, and he had a rupture.
Really?
He had a rupture down there. So
oh my God!
I haven't heard that. That's tough. Yeah,
that is tough.
Yes,
my God,
that's an understatement.
That is tough.
Well, that's what happened to Tippett in the playoffs. He got in that same area, and that's what happened. That's why he couldn't play.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's a fun team, and I liked Vladar too. We were talking earlier.
Yeah.
They've had it's the goalie situation just through bad luck or through tragedy or through it's been a tough position for the Flyers over the years. Really.
Yeah, it really has.
Bernie, you had Hextall, but other than that, you had it was some you had Pelly Lindbergh, tragically dying, and then you had you had Bobrovsky right under our hands, and we get rid of him.
Well, Mr. Snyder traded him.
Yeah,
I'll never forget. We played Boston, and we got beat. We got beat in the series against Boston, and we thought we should have won it. They got beat. They went on to win the Stanley Cup, but Ed says Bobrovsky is going to be a good goalie, but we can't sit around and wait for that. So they made that trade when they got
Brizgalov.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Deal. They're still paying him. They're still paying him up until last year, $1.9 million a year, for Christ's sake.
Wow!
He had a 20-year deal. Yeah.
Wow!
20-year deal, for God's sake.
That is wild. Oh. Hey, as a former ball player, you got any insights on the Phillies? Right now, kind of a slow start after they come back from the
Phillies. Well, the Phillies. I mean, they played L.A. I mean, not many teams I don't think beat L.A., but Phillies played well against L.A. and L.A. this
close games
in the year. They did,
right.
But these 2 games, they got blown out there a couple games.
Even in the games that were. The one game was very close in this series.
The 2-1 game,
base running blunder.
Yeah. Oh my God, isn't that true? And then they made a blunder last night again. The second baseman.
Yep, Scott.
Yeah. Holy God.
They said we talked about it that trade deadline is coming up in a couple weeks, and you're in good position when you have Sanchez, Wheeler, Luzardo.
Yeah,
and then you have Duran as your back of the end bullpen, but you need to kind of.
You need another starter.
You need some right-handed bats. You need another starter. You need some setup guys, bullpen. it's going to be interesting what they do.
Who was that right fielder they had there last night? Did they get him in a trade?
Was
De La Cruz.
Oh, De La Cruz.
Brian De La Cruz.
Well,
He's
he was
from
in the
farm.
he was in the major leagues, and we got him as a minor league free agent, I believe.
Oh, really?
And then he came up, his first at bat for the Phillies.
That home run.
It's a home run. Now, again, you're kind of, who knows? Maybe you catch lightning in a bottle. Some guys just, different change of scenery. But it's, right-handed bat.
But then they took out Marsh out of the lineup for that guy. Jesus, God,
right? Because it's a lefty,
Marsh
I guess,
came
in.
Marsh is a good hitter.
Yep.
He hits the ball. He hits the ball to left field a lot. He can when there's a lefty on the mound.
Yep. I was watched for the game that the base running blunder. I was in another room reading this book that I'm into. And I'm reading the book, and I'm kind of checking score on my phone. But I guess and Jill, my wife, was in the other room watching the game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I hear this, "Oh God!" And so I don't have a TV in front of me, and I'm like, "Oh, something bad happened." And I go on my phone and see the double play, and then I go on Twitter and see all the the base running blunders. I'm like, kind of glad I didn't watch that live. We're going to the game on Friday. Big series against the Yankees.
Oh, the Yankees,
and it's their star player, star pitcher Schlitter, is there going up against Luzardo. So very good pitching matchup. Yeah, so that'll be another good barometer to see how we are.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go check out Cold War in Philly. That was on Netflix for a while, right? The documentary about the.
No, it wasn't on Netflix. No.
Prime Video,
it's on Prime. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is on Prime. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Dan Majani, as we said, has been a big supporter of the station and the show.
Was he like a producer of that, or?
Well, his son was very involved, but Dan's a big. He's gone up to Smithers with Joe, right? He's gone up there.
He's coming up. He's going to be with us when we're fishing and fishing amongst the grizzly bears.
Right. Right. What is it if you see a bear? If it's brown, lay down. If it's black, attack, maybe. And
black bears. I mean, that.
And if it's white,
doesn't bother me.
Good
Black
night.
bears don't bother me. But or what?
If it's white, good night. Like
You're right.
You have no chance against a polar bear.
The polar bear, they're the worst.
I'll say if it's black, step back.
Step back.
How about that?
Not attack.
No, don't attack.
You probably shouldn't attack a bear.
That doesn't sound like.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Kids, don't try this at home.
So, all right, Joe, you can be the police on this one. So, way back when we did a dude ranch for my wife's 40th birthday, the whole family went out. We went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Oh,
right?
Okay, yeah.
And so we go to this dude ranch. Everyone gets assigned a horse.
Yeah.
And I had my niece and nephews. We had a cabin, and there was like 4 nieces and nephews in our cabin, and myself and Jill, and then my brother-in-law and his wife. So they did. The first day they said, "All right, the rules." And they said one of the things is do not leave food on your outside your cabin,
balcony or
because
whatever. Yeah.
because bears can sniff that a mile away. You don't want a bear on your porch, right? So first night, I'm the first one up. I'm an early riser. I wake up in the morning to get some coffee. I got my coffee and I go out on the porch, and sure enough, there's a bag of Cheetos, and it's half open, and there's Cheetos spilled out. Well, it's obviously one of the kids, right? Well, I am like ready for them to wake up, and I'm ready to raise holy because I do not want a bear. So everyone wakes up, and I launch into a tirade.
Yeah.
You guys can't do that. The one rule he gave you, and this and that. I don't care if you're 8 years old. You can't do that. Blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
So they're all making fun of me because being a little dramatic. Well, my brother-in-law, I go to sleep the next night, and my brother-in-law tapes wheat thins and all the way up to from the bottom of the cabin outside my window, all the way up to the window, and has a sign that says, "Dear Bear, yummy bear snacks," right here with the arrow pointing right there. And the next day, the next day, I went on another tirade. That's not funny. The bear could have gone in there and gone through the window and blah, blah, blah. So, yes.
Boy. Hey, that's very creative.
Yeah.
Very creative.
So now to this day, I get bear presents from my family. Like if anything bear related, it's me because they think I freak out on bears. But no, it's common sense.
Yeah. I'm not sure you're ready for like tent camping.
No, I don't have to do that.
Because then the bears actually come up to the tent.
I'm at the age now. If I don't have to do something like that, then why am I doing it? Yeah. Did you see the video of the guy at Yellowstone get flipped up by by the
Buffalo,
bison,
Buffalo, yeah.
right? And that's the other thing too is
Jeez, he went way up there, man.
well, we were talking to people at Yellowstone. I've now been there twice. They said it's amazing what these people like. First of all, yeah, I guess you're supposed to stand, 30 feet, 40 feet away.
Yes.
Well, I'm standing way farther than that, right? Like they were pretty close. And if that all of a sudden, it's a wild animal, if that bison wants to attack you like it did, it can get to you pretty quick.
Well, that
right?
guy he was way too close. They were doing something to agitate the animal.
He was
like
about 30 feet away. I saw that. Yeah, because the bison was laying down, and then he got up. He kind of moved around, and he was shuffling the dirt around and everything else. And they're watching him. Then I don't know what happened after that.
Well, then they were running.
Chasing him.
I mean, some like
God.
when you're out there, like some naturalist people, the game is to see how close you can get.
Well, that's
right. So you kind of creep up, move a little closer.
You deserve what you get then.
Yeah.
Because a bison can leap at a standstill, can leap a 6-foot fence. They're athletes,
they could run,
and they can outrun you
run,
easily.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but if you just mind your business, they don't care about you.
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Oh, boy.
So, but they were talking about horror stories of like tourists putting their baby on top of the cute little bison, right? Like, so, Joe, there's a lot of dummies out there, right? Don't mess with Mother Nature.
A few years ago, we left some pancake batter out while we were camping, and the bears came in, and you could hear them like slurping up this.
And you're right in the tent?
Oh yeah.
Where are we at?
Up in the Poconos.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
Promised Land State
right.
Park.
Okay.
We were up there.
Well, Joe, hopefully there'll be no bears when we're golfing tomorrow morning. Right?
I don't mind the black bears. They don't bother me.
Yeah,
but grizzly.
How fast are you now? I just got to run faster than you.
That's true. You're right. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
Well, big thanks to Joe for joining us here on All In today and being part of the show. Really appreciate it. About to wrap it up here, John.
We're about to be all in at this Italian steak restaurant.
Man, good times here at Mt Airy Casino Resort and Spa. A beautiful day today. And now we get to go out and enjoy it. There's like walking trails here. Of course, the golf you guys are going to be doing. They got the pool, the spa.
Yeah.
And we get a steak dinner coming up. So
that's right.
Looking forward to that.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks for having me, boys. It's very nice.
Oh, man, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that far up here. And, I'd never been up in this region before.
Well,
I've been to Poconos a lot. I've been at Woodlock. In Holly, I go there a lot because I know the people that own that resort. They're wonderful people, friends of mine, big Flyer fans. So I go visit them, but I've never been up.
Yeah, it's nice up here, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll do it. Big thanks to Mt Airy Casino and Resort for making this all possible. Big thanks to all of our sponsors, and thanks to John, to Joe, to Ben Jones, who joined us here from BCWSA Utility Services, Anthony Sanfilippo for being with us. And we will catch you maybe next month. We're up here kind of once a month on the third Thursday of each month where we do our all-in thing. And big thanks to Lee Alexander for putting it all together. We will catch you next time here on WBCB.
Beautiful. Beautiful.